Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku was born of the flames part 2. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 3, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, My Hero Academia fan 132 from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Alright, let's start the meeting, 𝗵𝗃 stated. First off, why are those kids here? A hero named 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗏 asked. Those are fine heroes that are working under me, Ryukyu and 𝗵𝗃𝗃, 𝗵𝗃 stated. And that runt over there? I've seen the blonde one with you a few times, but I haven't seen him before, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗏 stated as he pointed towards Izuku. I'm sure you saw the big battle a few weeks ago, where All Might fought a major villain, right? 𝗵𝗃 asked. Who hasn't? Everyone has seen that battle. It was on every channel and every screen, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗏 stated. Izuku was part of that fight, 𝗵𝗃 stated as all the heroes looked surprised, except for the big three and others from the 𝗵𝗃 agency. So you really are that fire-using runt. Don't make me laugh, 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗏 stated as Izuku got up and walked towards an open spot in the room. 𝗵𝗃, is it alright if I unleash some power? I won't damage anything, Izuku asked as 𝗵𝗃 nodded. Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire just smiled at him as his eyes started to glow, then fire swirled around him as Izuku pushed his full power in the small flames that got to his hip from the ground. However, all that power created an air pressure which slowly pushed everything back. Izuku stopped his quirk before it would harm anyone. You believe it now? Izuku asked 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗏𝗏, who was surprised to see and feel that power. However, he wasn't able to bring out a response. Alright, now that that's over, let's start the actual meeting, 𝗵𝗃 stated. As most of you know, we're keeping an eye on the 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗃. The reason for this is a kind of bullet they create, the bullet to erase a quirk, 𝗵𝗃 stated as some of the heroes wide-eyed. Izuku frowned. How are they making those? And is it permanent? Izuku asked. We don't know how they make it, however as for now the effects aren't permanent, it just lasts a few hours and after that it wears off. But if they can make that temporary, it's already dangerous, because even a few minutes could bring a hero in trouble against villains without his quirk, 𝗵𝗃 explained. However, the fact that it's only been used 2 times so far makes me think that those were prototypes to see how far their experiments have gotten. We think they are planning to make bullets that permanently destroy quirks, meaning making people quirkless, 𝗵𝗃 stated. We've made this joint operation because we plan on storming the 𝗧𝗃𝗧𝗏𝗃's mansion soon. We've got reason enough to capture them, and the bullets are retraceable to them, so we've got permission. However, first we've got to make sure that the bullets are there. There are a few hideouts, and starting tomorrow we'll investigate more. We've gathered this many heroes because there are also hideouts outside the city, and there are heroes who know more about those parts, 𝗵𝗃 stated. 𝗵𝗃 agency will investigate their main mansion as well as another spot, 𝗵𝗃 stated as a hologram opened up from the table showing a map. As then the heroes appointed themselves to a hideout location. After the meeting ends, all the heroes walk away. Izuku, Nejire, Tamaki and Mirio stay together and talk for a while. Wow, Izuku, you really got into 𝗵𝗃's agency next to Mirio. I'm so glad and proud of you. Nejire stated excitedly. Thanks, he said he wanted me on board, and seeing how he trained Mirio, I think there is a lot I can learn from him, Izuku stated. Izuku, Mirio, they heard as they then turned around to see 𝗵𝗃 and Bubble Girl. I want you two and Bubblegum to watch the mansion tomorrow, is that alright? 𝗵𝗃 asked. Sure. They both said in unison. There is that feeling again, Izuku thought once he agreed. It was the same feeling he had before going to camp. The feeling that something will happen. Oh right, Izuku. Nejire stated as 𝗵𝗃 left again. Yeah. Izuku asked. Wanna come over to my place? My parents would really like to see you again, and we can tell them that we are together now, Nejire said as she then started to blush. Sure, I'd love to. It's been a long time since I saw them, Izuku smiled as Nejire then tackled him to hug him. Mirio and Tamaki just smiled at the two. They all considered each other family. Nejire grabbed Izuku's hand and then ran outside with him. I'll see you guys later at the dorm, Nejire said as she ran off while waving with her other hand. Sorry guys, Mirio, I'll see you tomorrow, Izuku stated as Mirio started laughing while Tamaki just had a smile on his face. Nejire then used her quirk to fly up as Izuku's eyes started to glow up and flew with his flames. While using his flames, his heat flowed through his hand into Nejire 𝗬𝗏, who then curiously turned towards Izuku, who flew next to her with glowing eyes and a smile on his face. "Something wrong?" Izuku asked as they then both noticed that they were still holding hands. "I'm sorry," Nejire shouted, but Izuku grabbed her hand firmly but not too tight so he wouldn't hurt her. That action made her blush madly. After a while they reached a mansion-like house. "Wow, do your parents live here?" Izuku asked, curious. "Well, yeah, we moved away because my dad started his own agency, and they got a lot of offers which made a lot of money, and well, as you can see, he used that to buy a bigger house." Nejire smiled awkwardly. "Can you even call that a house anymore?" Izuku said, confused as he looked at the mansion, making Nejire laugh. They then reached the door as she knocked. After a few seconds, Nejire's mother opened up. "Nejire." "Hello, dear," her mother said as she then hugged her. "Hey Mom, I've missed you too," she stated with a smile. "And who is this?" her mother then asked, looking at Izuku. "Could you possibly be Izuku?" she asked as Izuku smiled. "Yes, I am," Izuku said softly. "Well, how you've grown, it's been so long," her mother said happily. Come in," she then said as she pulled Izuku inside as Nejire had already walked inside. They walked to the living room as Izuku and Nejire sat next to each other on the couch. Nejire's mother sat in the couch opposing from them as then Nejire's father walked in. "Nejire, it's been so long," her father said as Nejire ran towards him and hugged him. "I missed both of you so much," she stated. Izuku looked with a smile but also felt a bit sad. "Ah, Izuku, good to see you again, 𝗬𝗏," her father said as he gave him a firm hand. "Likewise, sir, I'm glad to see all of you doing well," Izuku stated. Nejire and her parents smiled at that. Nejire then sat back next to Nejire. "So what brings the two of you here?" her father asked. "Well, Nejire asked me if I wanted to come with her and that she would be coming here," Izuku stated softly as Nejire blushed a little. "Is that right?" her mother asked as she looked at Nejire blushing. "So Nejire?" her father then asked. "Well, Izuku and we became a couple," she said as she then slapped her hands on her face as she was blushing madly. Izuku noticed she felt very uncomfortable right now, but he didn't really know what to do. "I see, well that's good, right? Izuku is an incredible kid, certainly from what we heard from you and how he was 9 years ago," her father said, laughing, taking the uncomfortable feeling away from Nejire, who looked up surprised. "Don't be so surprised, we just want what's best for you," her mother stated. "Yes, but you guys are normally very strict when it comes to me meeting boys. It took forever until you accepted Mirio and Tamaki around me," Nejire stated, confused. "Well, that's true, but we had never seen them or heard about them before then. We know Izuku from that day 9 years ago, and you always talked about him when you came over, so we knew you liked him, but we're glad you two got together," her mother stated. "Izuku, next time you come over you should bring your parents 𝗬𝗏. Then we can meet them 𝗬𝗏," her mother said, excited as Izuku's face turned into a sad frown as Nejire also looked sad. "Did I say something wrong?" her mother asked, concerned. "No, it's just I've never known my father. As for my mother, she's here," Izuku stated as it confused Nejire's parents. "What do you mean?" Nejire's father asked. "My mother got killed a few months back," Izuku stated as Nejire, her parents got wide eyes. "Oh, I'm so sorry," her mother said. "It's alright, it took me a while, but I've learned to live with it," Izuku stated. "But what do you mean she got killed?" Nejire's mom asked. "Well, I was talking with some friends in class when suddenly a javelin of flames was shot at our class. When I destroyed it, I noticed multiple explosions in the city. I ran outside with some classmates and followed the fire user. I even fought the hero killer Stain," Izuku stated. "Incredible, he killed multiple heroes and you defeated him?" the father asked, amazed. "Well, he did leave a mark," Izuku stated as he pushed his shirt over his shoulder, showing a little of the scar. "That small mark?" the father asked, confused. "Not really, it just starts here, it ends at my left hip," Izuku stated as they gasped. "I was still bleeding from my wound when my classmates and teacher arrived. Bakugo told me that the explosions happened right around where I lived," Izuku stated. "You mean Katsuki Bakugo? The one that attacked Nejire when they were little?" the man asked. "Yes, But he's changed. At the very least, he doesn't attack people anymore and he respects me and my power, Izuku stated. So you changed him? The mother asked. Well, let's say I put him in his place at day 1 of school. Izuku laughed awkwardly. Well, you told us the explosions happened around where you lived. What happened then? Nejire's mother asked. Well, even while I was wounded badly, I used all my power to fly there as fast as I could. Nejire and Bakugo followed me, Izuku said as he tensed up. I'll take it from here, Nejire said as she placed a hand on his shoulder. The entire place was in rubble. Izuku called out to his mother until he saw a pile of rubble move. He and Bakugo then lifted the rubble, but Nejire stopped for a bit, looking at Izuku, who had closed his eyes while his face pointed toward the ground. We found his mother, however, she had lost both her legs as well as an arm, and she had a hole in her stomach, Nejire stated as her parents gasped. Her last words were that she was glad that Izuku was safe and that she loved him. Izuku then went out of control as his flames shot up. It okay all of our powers to break through his flames to stop him, Nejire stated as she laid her head against his shoulder. You've certainly had it rough, her mother stated as she looked at Izuku concerned. That's true, but thanks to Nejire and my friends I'm still alive. I was told that the power I used back there threatened my life if it continued any longer, Izuku stated. Also, do you remember the major fight from All Might a few months back? Nejire asked her parents. We sure do. We were scared out of our minds that All Might would lose, but someone really brave with a lot of power really saved All Might, her father stated. There were 2 boys though who created an opening for All Might, her mother stated. Those boys were Bakugo and Izuku, Nejire stated shortly as their eyes widened again. We were on a summer training camp when they attacked us out of nothing. They took Bakugo but I went after him. We escaped their base but then had to face their leader. When All Might was losing I shot with full force and full power towards the villain. However, he messed my arm up pretty bad with that clash, Izuku stated as he showed his left arm with some scars. Bakugo covered me so I could charge a move. We managed to create an opening for All Might to finish it, but it really was a rough battle, Izuku stated. So we owe our lives to you and Bakugo as well, then Nejire's parents said. Oh no, All Might did all the work, Izuku stated a bit in panic. You've become a fine hero, Izuku, the father stated. I'm sure you'll take good care of my daughter, he stated proudly. I'll do my best, sir, Izuku stated with a soft smile. They talked some more until Izuku and Nejire had to go back to UA. Well, come visit us anytime you like, you two, Nejire's mother said before Izuku and Nejire flew off. Are you alright after telling them everything? Nejire asked, concerned about Izuku. Yeah, I'm doing alright, I just missed her, but I've got you so I'll handle it, Izuku stated with a smile. Once they reached UA they each other and went to their dorms. The next morning Izuku met up with Mirio as they walked towards Nitai's agency. They then placed on their hero suits as they then went to watch the mansion from a distance. A few hours had passed but nothing really happened, until a few cars pulled up. Someone with a suitcase walked out of the car with a lot of bodyguards. I think those are the bullets, what do you think? Izuku asked. Well, seeing the bodyguards, those definitely are the bullets. We'll have to notify Sir Night-Eye about this, Mirio stated. Who the hell might you two be? They heard as they turned around to see a thug with a mask on. SHT, they found us out, Izuku thought while gritting his teeth. Suddenly the man shot a flare gun to tell the others there was trouble. Izuku, we'll have to get them ourselves. If we don't force our way in now, we'll never have the chance again, Mirio stated as Izuku launched his flames at the thug. Let's go, Izuku said as he shot down with his flames and crashed on the ground in the front yard, creating a small crater. The man with the suitcase quickly ran inside. Izuku used his rapid fire to take the bodyguards out as Mirio then appeared. They quickly ran inside and saw a hidden door close at the last few seconds. Izuku shot his flames at the spot to break the wall, but multiple villains ran through it. Izuku and Mirio took quick care of them as they then ran down the stairs. We already knew about this underground dungeon, and also know the way, follow me, Mirio stated as then suddenly the walls changed. I'll go on, Mirio stated as Izuku just blew the wall up with his flames as they then ran together. The walls changed a lot of times but Izuku just blasted his way through. He eventually found the person responsible and shot his dragon fire at him to knock him out. They eventually reached a hall with multiple doors. They opened each door as then there were only 2 doors left. 𝗵𝗃 opened one as Izuku opened the other at the same time. Izuku found the guy with the suitcase and took care of him while opening the suitcase which held bullets in it. There are 2 kinds. Maybe the prototypes and the real deal. Or the real deal and something to counter it. Izuku thought out loud. Doesn't matter, grab the case and come. 𝗵𝗃 shouted. Izuku ran outside and saw a small girl on 𝗵𝗃's back. Izuku then noticed bandages all around her. I'm not leaving her here, those bandages show that they have done things to her, 𝗵𝗃 stated. They used my BLD to create those things, the girl stated as 𝗵𝗃, and Izuku felt sick just from hearing that. All the more reason to take you away from here, 𝗵𝗃 stated as. They both ran outside. They almost escaped as Izuku managed to push 𝗵𝗃 away just in time as spikes shot from the ground blocking the gate. What do you 2 think? You think you can just get in here, beat up my men, take the bullets we worked so strong for and even take away 𝗧𝗍𝗍, the main product for the bullets? A man said. 𝗵𝗃 turned around as he then looked in fear. That's overhaul, 𝗵𝗃 stated. Izuku then remembered what he had heard about overhaul. Let's go, Izuku stated as they ran towards the gate. Izuku's eyes started glowing as he heel kicked the spikes as he destroyed them with his flames in his feet. They got outside until they were surrounded by multiple members of the 𝗧𝗍𝗧𝗟𝗘, while overhaul slowly walked closer. There were 2 big guys, one that could steal energy by touching them, another with amazing punching power, as well as someone that can slow someone down, then there was someone who had sides from his arms. Counting overhaul, there were at least 5 of them. 𝗵𝗃, take the suitcase and 𝗧𝗍𝗍 away and get back up, Izuku stated as his eyes were still glowing. What about you? 𝗵𝗃 asked. I'll hold them off as long as I can, but hurry up, I can't beat them on my own, I can only hold them back, Izuku stated as he made steps of fire so 𝗵𝗃 could get away. Don't think I'll let you escape, overhaul shouted as he slapped the ground as spikes shot out which were launched at 𝗵𝗃. Suddenly they were destroyed as Izuku broke them with his flames. Don't think I'll let you get in their way, Izuku stated as flames then swirled around him. 𝗵𝗃 quickly ran through the streets towards Nightie's agency. Before leaving they had decided that Bubble Girl would stay at the agency to be able to contact others if needed. 𝗵𝗃 ran inside. Bubble Girl, he immediately shouted as she then stormed through a door in panic. What is it? She asked as she saw 𝗵𝗃 while having a worried look. Call Night Eye and everyone close by that you can. Send them to the mansion. 𝗵𝗃 stated in panic. What happened? What's that suitcase? And who is that girl? She asked. No time to explain. Call everyone that you can and watch after her. 𝗵𝗃 said as he ran out. Bubble Girl closed the office with the suitcase inside but 𝗧𝗍𝗍 on her back while taking her phone and calling others. Once they got outside they saw Night Eye with 𝗧𝗍𝗍𝗍. Sir, please hurry, come with me. 𝗵𝗃 stated in panic as he ran back towards the mansion. 𝗵𝗃, what happened? Where is Izuku? Night Eye asked as he then noticed Bubble Girl calling other heroes with a girl on his back. What in the world happened? Night Eye asked in a serious tone. They noticed us as the bullets got taken inside. We rushed in and took them. We found her. Apparently they use her BLD to make the bullets, 𝗵𝗃 explained while running. This widened all their eyes. What happened to Izuku? Night Eye asked then. He helped me escape with 𝗧𝗍𝗍 and is holding overhaul as well as 4 others back on his own. 𝗵𝗃 stated as they kept running. Bubble Girl, you stay out of sight with 𝗧𝗍𝗍. Have you called the others? Night Eye asked. Yes, Ryukyu and Fat Gum were close by and are coming as well. She stated. Eventually they reached the mansion. Bubble Girl hid in an alley with 𝗧𝗍𝗍, however Night Eye, 𝗵𝗃 and 𝗧𝗍𝗍𝗍 were gasping. Meanwhile at Izuku after 𝗵𝗃 escaped. So not only do you think you can take everything away, but you also think you'll live to tell about it? Overhaul shouted as he slapped the ground making a field of spikes launching at Izuku. Izuku placed his hands on the ground, scorching earth. Izuku shouted as flames appeared out of the ground looking as if it came from a crack out of the ground. Izuku then jumped away in time to dodge the time-slowing quirk but was slashed in the back with a scythe. Izuku flipped and gave the villain an overhead kick to the head launching him to the ground. Izuku then shot flames from his feet just in time to dodge spikes from Overhaul as suddenly 𝗵𝗲 appeared in front of him, who gave a barrage of punches. Izuku placed a wall of flames in front of him to defend while also boosting himself forwards with his flames. He then noticed the other big guy behind him as he tried grabbing Izuku. Izuku broke the barrage as he then slammed the ground with his flames to shoot up a circle of flames around him, pushing both away. Izuku lowered his flames but then got slashed on his left shoulder. "Damn it," Izuku said as he felt the pain. Izuku then placed his hands on the ground. 5 burning pillars. Izuku shouted as 5 pillars shot up and shot towards a villain, each creating an explosion and sending some fire away. There were some fires on the street. Izuku did manage to take out the one with the scythes and the one that slowed down time, but 𝗵𝗲 and the other big guy were still standing, so was Overhaul. Overhaul then suddenly shot more spikes at him, but from close range, Izuku managed to destroy the spikes in front to avoid a fatal wound, but was slashed all over his body, as one spike even pierced his side a little. At that time, Mirio, Night Eye and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 showed up as they saw Izuku with a slash on his back, with wounds all over his body and a spike piercing his side. Izuku jumped back and saw only the tip pierced his body and thus missing damaging any of his organs. Izuku was heavily. As then Ryukyu, Nejire, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 and Tamaki showed up. "Izuku, I came back with backup?" Mirio shouted. "Thanks Mirio," Izuku, as Izuku stood there with a wobbly stance while his arms just hang there. "Let us handle this," Mirio stated. "You sure?" Izuku, "Yeah, we got this," he said, confident as Izuku pulled back while sitting against a wall. Mirio, Night Eye and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 faced Overhaul, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 and Tamaki faced 𝗵𝗲, Ryukyu and Nejire faced the other big guy. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 just took a barrage of 𝗵𝗲's punches as Tamaki suddenly grabbed 𝗵𝗲's arms with tentacles to hold him, as 𝗵𝗃𝗄 then unleashed full power and defeated 𝗵𝗲. Ryukyu and Nejire were having a touch time. Ryukyu turned into a wyvern, but every time she got close, the villain wanted to drain her energy. "Go for it," Izuku shouted as Ryukyu then instinctively attacked the villain. However, he was about to grab her. She was too close to dodge, as then suddenly a flame shot from the ground, keeping the hand away from Ryukyu. She looked around and saw Izuku's eyes glowing with his hand touching the ground. "Even now, even while in that state, he's backing us up," Ryukyu silently said, just loud enough for Nejire to hear as she looked at Izuku. She was worried about him, but they had to finish the villains first. "We can't let him down now, Nejire," Ryukyu said as she then got behind the villain and holding his arms back. Nejire then charged her quirk at full power and shot it directly at him. It damaged him but not enough to take him out. He wanted to break free, but Ryukyu held him in place. "Hurry! Another one!" she shouted as Nejire shot another one to weaken him. "Ryukyu, move!" Once she heard this, she released the villain, and just in time as suddenly flames shot down from the sky. "Burning star!" Izuku shouted as it slammed right into the villain, which created a crater. Incredible, even in that state he's able to defend and attack, while holding such power, Ryukyu thought as she saw Izuku on his feet. Mirio, Night Eye and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 weren't able to get close to Overhaul because of his quirk, and even if Mirio got close, Overhaul would just shoot spikes all around him, so Mirio couldn't attack. Eventually Overhaul noticed that his comrades were defeated, as he then grabbed the energy absorbed and disassembled him, as he then fused together with him, creating that big form from the anime. "How are we supposed to beat that?" Mirio stated, sweating. "We weren't even able to get close earlier," Night Eye stated, gritting his teeth. Suddenly Izuku flew towards Overhaul as he was covered in flames. He smashed Overhaul in the face, sending him back some steps. "Get back, everyone," Izuku stated as they all ran back. Izuku landed in front of Overhaul. "You think you can beat me like this?" Overhaul shouted as he slapped the ground while spikes shot randomly towards Izuku and around him towards the others and innocent people. Izuku used his 5 burning pillars to destroy the spikes coming for him, as he also used strong flames to destroy the spikes going at the others and the innocent people. Is he really fighting offensive and defensive at the same time? Night Eye asked, amazed. "I don't have much power left. I have to make this count. Since he has 2 people inside him now, this move should be able to handle him now without killing him," Izuku thought. He then created a fireball in his hand which he used to slam 𝗲𝗏𝗏 into the air as he then placed 2 hands in the floor. Is he really going to use that? 𝗵𝗃𝗀 asked as everyone glanced at him, then back to Izuku. Death sentence? He shouted as streams of fire shot up, piercing 𝗲𝗏𝗏 from multiple sides. Everyone had wide eyes from that attack. 𝗲𝗏𝗏 then crashed into the ground as Izuku sat on the ground. Izuku, are you alright? Nejire asked as she got closer to him. Be on guard, he isn't deaf, at the most he's unconscious. His durability is way better than ours now that he fused together, Izuku stated. But he can also fake being beaten to create an opening, Izuku stated. Well, aren't you a smart one, 𝗲𝗏𝗏 said as he got up. 𝗲𝗏𝗏 was weakened a lot. Ding, if I hadn't fused together that attack would have killed me. Insane little brat, 𝗲𝗏𝗏 shouted as he tried attacking Izuku. Izuku managed to get up and managed to take a few steps back before falling on his back. However, this was just enough to avoid the spikes. We have to help him. Nejire shouted as everyone got ready. I'll bind him. You guys, attacking him that instant. Izuku stated. I've learned this move a while back, but you're the first one I'll use it on, Izuku stated. Flaming imprisonment. Izuku shouted as flames shot out of the ground which shot around 𝗲𝗏𝗏 as they then binded him. At that time Tamaki smashed his tentacles at 𝗲𝗏𝗏, while 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and 𝗵𝗃𝗲 smashed him. Ryukyu also followed with a punch as Nejire then shot her quirk at full power to defeat him. 𝗲𝗏𝗏 was then knocked out. Suddenly Eri ran out of the alley touching the fused arm as 𝗲𝗏𝗏 then got separate from the villain. Izuku suddenly collapsed. Eri then ran towards him as she managed to control her own quirk still for a little bit. She touched Izuku as his wounds were then healed. You did it, Izuku? Nejire said as she ran and just crashed down next to him while hugging him. We beat the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, and you managed to take the bullets, Night Eye stated proudly. And most important, you protected us, Oswell, as the innocent lives around, and you and 𝗵𝗃𝗀 managed to save a little girl from the villains, Ryukyu stated. You were amazing. Izuku and the others had just finished battling 𝗲𝗏𝗏. 𝗲𝗏𝗏 and the 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏 got arrested, while the hero's side managed to get a hold of the bullets and even saved a little girl in the process. Afterwards everyone went to Night Eye's agency because that's the place where they left the bullets. I opened the suitcase and noticed 2 different cases with 2 different kind of bullets. I don't know if one is the prototype and one is the real deal, or if one is the real deal and the other is something to counter it, Izuku stated. That's alright, we've got excellent researchers that can figure that out. As for now, I'll bring this to them, Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗀. You two bring Eri to a hospital. She is covered in bandages, Night Eye stated. Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗀 took Eri to a hospital. Tamaki and Nejire decided to go with them. Mostly they had the rest of the day off, and Nejire went with them because she was still worried about Izuku and wanted to be with him. After some examinations, Eri was allowed to go again, but she had nowhere to go, so Izuku decided to bring her to UA. Once they arrived and explained to Nizu and the teachers what happened and how her quirk restored Izuku's body but also reversed the fused form from 𝗲𝗏𝗏, they decided that Aizawa will look after Eri, that way he can erase her quirk whenever it goes out of control. Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗀, Tamaki and Nejire now had some free time on their hands. Their mission was cleared, and after what happened that day, they were free to go. There were still a few hours before evening, and the next day would be school, so they decided to go to the park. She didn't actually heal me. I think just like with 𝗲𝗏𝗏, she rewinded my body to before I got hurt, Izuku stated while walking. Well, that's a possibility. They don't know much about her quirk, and since it only affects humans, that makes it pretty difficult to learn and control, because one wrong move and she could kill a person, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated. We should rely on such a young child anyways, Izuku stated while walking. Suddenly Izuku was called for, which could be heard all over UA. Well, I guess I see you guys later then, Izuku said as he jogged towards Nizu's office. Once he got there, All Might and Nizu were waiting for him. Hello Izuku, I'm sorry to be bothering you already while you just got back, Nizu stated. It's alright, but why did you need me? Izuku asked. We need your help with something, Nizu stated. Alright, what for? Izuku asked. Well, I hate to admit it, but we've got a traitor in you, Nizu stated as Izuku frowned. Yeah, I was having the same feeling. Not only did they bring a Nomu able to kill All Might to the USJ, while All Might wasn't even there, but they knew he should be there, and I heard that almost no one knew about the training camp. Yet the villains managed to get a sneak attack on us there, Izuku stated. That's right, we don't know if it's just one or if there are multiple, but we've got some strong students, and we have some suspicion about a few students. However, if it's really them, then I think you are the only one strong enough to handle them if they get together, 𝗍𝗬 explained. Alright, but if they are spies from the villains, how will we get them out of their shell and reveal themselves? It's not like they'll just tell us, Izuku stated. That's the problem part, yes. We have to agitate them so much they'll respond to something. However, if we do that, we can't avoid a fight, 𝗍𝗬 explained. I might have an idea. You want me to fight them anyway, so I think I can agitate them enough, Izuku stated. It will be a bit out of character for me to provoke someone, but oh well, Izuku smiled. I'd rather do something like that than have the others in danger any longer, he added. Alright, then we'll leave it to you. Don't tell others about this though, we'll explain everything once we get all the traitors, 𝗍𝗬 stated. Just don't underestimate them, you're really strong. I heard you even fought against overhaul, which held a crazy power while weakened a lot, but still don't let the power get to your head, All Might stated. About that fight, overhaul had fused with someone. When he did, he managed to survive death sentence, Izuku stated, as All Might and 𝗍𝗬 were surprised to hear this. You mean you used it on him? All Might asked. Yeah, overhaul was crazy strong, and his quirk was too dangerous. Mirio, Night Eye and 𝗧𝗵𝗲 couldn't get close or land a single blow on overhaul. I only managed to get a few hits in by fighting offensive and defensive at the same time, but if I couldn't beat him then there would be a lot of dead bodies. I figured he would have enough durability to survive it while fused, but he was even able to fight some more after that. I don't know if my move lacks strength or resolve, or if someone with higher power can survive it, or if it just barely had any effect on him at all, Izuku explained. That's not something to worry about. The move weakened him a lot, right? 𝗍𝗬 asked as Izuku nodded. Then the move did its job. You told us yourself you didn't want to kill people, 𝗍𝗬 smiled at him. Well, that's right, Izuku smiled. Well, now, you can go back to your friends. We'll leave the traitors to you, 𝗍𝗬 stated as Izuku then walked off. Once he got out of the office, he noticed Mirio, Tamaki and Nejire already waiting for him. Hey guys, what are you doing here? Izuku asked. Oh, just waiting for you, silly, Nejire said as she flew towards him with a smile. They then decided to walk around the park and enjoy the sunny weather. After a few hours, it slowly got dark. They all went to their dorms. Izuku ate dinner, then after a while he went to bed. He didn't really talk to anyone from his class because he was thinking about what to do with the traitors until someone knocked on the door. Come in, Izuku said as the door opened up and Uraraka walked in. Hey, everything alright? She asked as she closed the door and sat on his bed next to him. Yeah, I'm alright, why? Izuku asked, confused. You looked worried about something and haven't said a word to any of us, Uraraka stated. I got a bit worried and came to see if you were doing alright, she added. I'm actually not supposed to talk about this, but I guess I can trust you enough, Izuku said until the door opened up and 𝗵𝗃𝗃 walked in. There were some eavesdroppers here at the door. The chick with the strange ears and dunce face, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 stated. I chased them away so they won't be bothering anymore, although I want to hear what's going on as well, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 stated. Alright, but you two have to promise me you won't do anything, or tell anyone, Izuku stated as they nodded. 𝗍𝗬 called me earlier. He said we've got traitors in UA and he asked me to deal with them, Izuku stated. Wait, we've got spies from the villains in UA? Uraraka asked, shocked. Well, that makes sense. They knew All Might was supposed to be at the USJ while even we didn't know, and they found our training camp while no one was supposed to know about it, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 stated as Izuku nodded. So, any idea how you're gonna reveal them? 𝗵𝗃𝗃 asked. Well, I'm going to do something out of character. I'm going to provoke them, kinda like how you provoke people, Izuku smiled. About DMN time you dropped that shy act? 𝗵𝗃𝗃 grinned. Uraraka was completely confused and didn't know where the conversation was anymore. Sorry, I'm completely lost, Uraraka stated. To cut it short, I'm going to yell some things that would provoke them. They might talk back or even attack me. I have to deal with them at that moment, Izuku explained shortly. And we're not allowed to help, right? She asked. Well, I'd rather not. 𝗍𝗬 has his eyes on a few students and showed me their records. They have pretty powerful quirks and banded together they will be tricky to beat, Izuku stated. Just don't lose to those bastard. The one that will beat you is me, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 said before walking off. Once 𝗵𝗃𝗃 left, Uraraka looked worried. Are you alright, he asked. Well, I can get why Nejire is so worried about you. I'm worried too. You're a great guy and have an amazing quirk. You also have insane power, but you always have to face the difficult fights, 𝗬𝗧𝗏 stated a bit sadly. I'm just bummed out that you always have to fight those strong people and get wounded so badly while all we can do is watch, 𝗬𝗧𝗏 explained. Suddenly she hugged Izuku tightly. Izuku noticed she was a bit freaked out by everything and was worried, so he hugged her back. After a while they broke the hug. I'm sorry, I know Nejire is your girlfriend and all, it's just I can't help worrying too, 𝗬𝗧𝗏 stated. Don't worry, we're friends. Friends are there for each other, they got each other's backs and also comfort each other when they are worried or when something is wrong, and besides it's just a friendly hug, there is nothing wrong with that. Izuku smiled as she then smiled at him. Thanks Izuku, you're a great friend, she said as she got up and walked out. Izuku then laid in his bed and went to sleep. I have to reveal them as soon as possible, otherwise people like 𝗬𝗧𝗏, Nejire and all the others will be at risk, Izuku thought before falling asleep. The next day, everyone sat in class as Aizawa then walked in. He looked at Aizawa with a look that said, I know, and then nodded. Afterwards class went on like usual, when finally lunch break began. Guess it's time, Izuku silently said, but Aizawa heard him and nodded. Once Izuku got into the cafeteria, he just jumped on a table. Nizu and Aizawa were watching secretly from afar. Alright everyone, I kinda need everyone's attention here, Izuku shouted as everyone looked towards him. Now, first off I want to start with telling everyone we've got traitors among us, Izuku stated. Some of the students gasped, some frowned, but Izuku also saw some people gritting their teeth. Second, even though they are traitors of UA and spies for the villains, I do have to tell right now, they are pathetic, Izuku stated as it shocked everyone that really knew Izuku. However, Bakugo enjoyed it. I mean, come on, they are spies for the villains, they leak our plans and still manage to get beaten easily. I mean, if the villains are already that weak, what does that say about them? Izuku stated. I guess they are even more pathetic than the villains, and if that's the case then honestly I'm surprised those worms got into you, Izuku stated as Bakugo almost couldn't hold in his laughter. Mirio, Nejire and Tamaki figured he was doing this with a reason, so they didn't say anything. As for the third thing I want to say, we already know who the traitors are, Izuku stated as everyone gasped but also saw surprise on a few faces. Izuku then held up some papers. Do you traitors want me to call you all out by name? Or you want to keep a bit of dignity and show yourselves right now? Izuku asked but no response. Each, guess they are even more pathetic than I thought. Weak scumbags, Izuku said as he held the papers in front of him to read until suddenly a few moves flew towards him. Izuku smiled behind his paper as his eyes started glowing and flames destroyed the moves. Everyone made way for the 5 people that shot attacks at Izuku. So you do have the ball to show yourselves? Glad you showed yourselves, that makes everything a lot easier, Izuku stated. What did you just say? The leader of the group asked. I mean, yeah, we had our suspicion but nothing was certain. I knew if I provoked long enough you'd show yourselves, Izuku stated with a smile. You little brat, will make you regret those words, the leader said as they all charged their quirks. The big 3, Bakugo and a few others of class 1A joined Izuku's side. You guys stay out of this, they're mine, Izuku stated angrily, which surprised his friends. They also never heard Izuku say that someone was his to defeat. Izuku gave a flaming kick towards them, but instead of creating a cut of flames, his flames swept them all towards the window as they broke through it and fell outside. Izuku used a lot of force as he flew after them outside. I've never seen him like this, Iida stated. Neither have we, Nejire stated as she stood next to 𝗬𝗧𝗏 as both of them were worried. Nizu and Aizawa walked in and looked outside to see Izuku surrounded by the spies. We asked Izuku to do this. If it were really those 5 you see right now, then it would be almost impossible for any of us to defeat them. Izuku can because he is able to attack and defend at the same time. However, even for him this will be a strong fight, Nizu stated as he explained in short to everyone how things were going. So you actually have the nerve to provoke us with a bluff like that and think you're getting away with it? The leader stated. Well, I mean, what would a bunch of sissies be able to do? All you guys do is hide and cower in a corner. How can I be afraid of that? Izuku said with a devilish grin. 𝗵𝗃𝗍𝗍, the leader shouted as he covered his arms and legs in armor of lightning. as he even made a spear of lightning. The others also had some elements, as one used wind, the other used earth, the other two had something different. One of them didn't show it, but Izuku read the files and knows he got a doubling quirk, which just doubles everything he wants, while the person next to him uses exploding mist. 𝗍𝗬 wasn't kidding, those guys have some insane quirks. They really will be tricky, especially that doubling kid. I don't know how many times he can double something, or even if there is a limit. I also don't know how he activates it. Does he have to touch it? Or can he double anything he looks at will? Izuku thought as his flames swirled around him. Izuku held a close eye on all of them as suddenly the lightning spear was thrown. Even though it was made of lightning, it still needed muscle strength. The lightning armor did increase the leader's strength and speed, but that didn't make the lightning spear too fast for Izuku to dodge it. Meanwhile, wind swirled around him, holding him down, while the earth user shot spikes from the ground from underneath Izuku. Izuku blocked it with his flames as he broke the spikes off. However, Izuku hadn't seen that the wind user stood besides the one with exploding mist and the doubling kid. Izuku then saw mist swirl around him. Damn it! He thought as he covered himself in flames as the mist exploded. Their biggest strength is their teamwork, 𝗍𝗬 stated from above. What do you mean? Mirio asked. Those three that got together, their quirks aren't all that impressive on their own. However, they complement each other, she stated. The exploding mist is easily pushed away with the wind and is actually tricky to use, but that's where the wind quirk comes in to make a path or a field for the mist, all while the other one keeps doubling the amount of mist, which makes it extremely powerful, 𝗍𝗬 explained. Izuku undid the flames when suddenly two fists made of earth charged at him from the sides. Izuku blocked those with flames from his hands, but this left him open, or so they thought. The leader threw an lightning spear at Izuku, but some of the flames from his hands shot forward and blocked the spear of fire. Scorching earth, Izuku said as flames shot towards the leader as if it was coming from a crack in the ground. Wait, is Izuku actually using a move without touching the ground? Mirio asked, amazed. The leader dodged it. Followed by 5 burning pillars, Izuku stated as 5 pillars shot from the ground, which then all launched at the villains. The earth user and the doubling kid took a direct hit, the others just got grazed. Well, that's 2 out, Izuku stated. Time to wrap this up, I'm done playing with you guys, Izuku stated as he got serious. He suddenly disappeared as the exploding mist user got hit by a fireball from the back, as Izuku then stood between the remaining 2 as he held his hands up to them. Dragon fire, he said as intense flames with a dragon's head shot towards them, knocking them out as well. You handled them pretty easily as expected. Izuku heard as he looked up towards the sound, as did everyone else. But they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The person that spoke was 𝗵𝗲 Shigaraki, but this time, his face wasn't covered by a hand, and this time, he was floating in the air. So what brings you here? Izuku asked as 𝗵𝗲 held up a phone. You think I'd just listen to you talking about us like this and let it slide like that? 𝗵𝗲 stated. So, you're going to fight me with that new power of yours? Izuku asked as his eyes lighted up. Fight you? Oh no, I'll leave that to my new little pet, 𝗵𝗲 stated with a grin. Say hello to the new high-end 𝗍𝗲 we created, 𝗵𝗲 said as suddenly something crashed down, creating a smoke screen. Once the smoke cleared, Izuku noticed a strange black mass. At first it looked like a flying coat, until it suddenly sprouted arms and legs. However, the face was in the hood. Izuku immediately got bad feelings from this 𝗍𝗲. Well, he certainly looks different from the other creeps, Izuku stated. Oh, trust me, his looks isn't all that changed. This 𝗍𝗲 has way more speed, power, and durability than any 𝗍𝗲 created so far, 𝗵𝗲 stated as Izuku got in his fighting stance. 𝗍𝗲, kill him. Izuku had just beaten the traitors from UA, when all of a sudden 𝗵𝗲 Shigaraki showed up, but he was floating in the air, as then suddenly a 𝗍𝗲 appeared again called high-end 𝗍𝗲. Kill him, 𝗍𝗲, 𝗵𝗲 stated. Izuku's eyes started glowing, but in that time the 𝗍𝗲 had already closed the distance and had punched Izuku in the gut. Izuku quickly took a few steps back. He then charged his flames in his hands and feet as he then launched at the 𝗍𝗲. First he threw a punch to the face, as he followed up with a kick to the stomach, but both were blocked by the 𝗍𝗲. Are you strong? The 𝗍𝗲 suddenly asked as he suddenly lifted his arm and slammed on Izuku. Izuku was fast enough to block the blow, but the 𝗏𝗵𝗃 was so strong that the force created a crater underneath Izuku. Izuku grabbed the 𝗏𝗵𝗃's arm as he then shot intense flames from his feet to boost his power and speed even more as he kicked the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 with a volley kick into the face which sended the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 flying. However, he quickly came back as Izuku quickly used his burning tornado. The burning tornado burned away the 𝗏𝗏𝗃's arm, but after just a few seconds the arm was restored. What? Izuku shouted confused as the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 suddenly smiled at him. This isn't good, I've got to find a way to get past that healing of his, Izuku thought as he was then suddenly kicked with insane speed which sended him flying. Izuku then felt a kick in his back sending him flying into the air. Everyone at school was watching in horror as Izuku was punched and kicked all around in the air until he was punched into the ground with incredible force. Man, this thing is really strong, Izuku said as he got up while suddenly the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 had sides from his arms. No way! Izuku stated shocked. The 𝗏𝗏𝗃 launched at him with the sides. Izuku wagered a risky move as he charged at the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 with incredible speed as he then grabbed the sides and melted them off the 𝗏𝗏𝗃's body with his flames. Smart move you made there, if you didn't he would have sliced you apart with that speed of his, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 stated calmly while watching. Tell me, what is this thing? And how are you flying? Izuku suddenly asked as he kept fighting the 𝗏𝗏𝗃. That's a 𝗏𝗏𝗃 called high-end 𝗏𝗏𝗃. It's way stronger than any 𝗏𝗏𝗃 we've created so far, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 stated. It's actually a test run to see just how strong they are, he added as Izuku's eyes widened after hearing this. So this is a test run. Like a prototype. Which means they've got more. Are they all as strong as this one? Or maybe even stronger? If that's the case, then we're in big trouble, Izuku thought. Izuku then closed his eyes. His flames disappeared from his hands and feet which confused everyone, including 𝗳𝗵𝗃. Izuku suddenly got an aura of flames around him, flames rising from the ground. Izuku opened his eyes again as he suddenly shot forward. He punched the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 in the gut, but this created a big raging flame from 𝗏𝗏𝗃's back. Izuku then kicked it into the air and shot it all around until he gave a last punch up. Izuku then got to the ground. Fire zone. He shouted as flames shot from his palms and divided more and more at incredible speed until they all reached 𝗏𝗏𝗃 and exploded in contact. Followed by 5 burning pillars. He shouted as 5 pillars of flames shot up towards 𝗏𝗏𝗃 and also crashed into him. Izuku then flew up as he placed his hands next to each other just in front of the 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Blazing Nova! He shouted as the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 was then engulfed in a field of flames as the flames slowly burned the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 away into ash. After the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 was completely gone, Izuku landed on the ground heavily. Now that I've melted his whole body, there is no way he can heal from that. Izuku stated, well, that's true, but then again, that was just a test round. It did better than I imagined, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 stated calmly. Now tell me, how are you floating like that? Izuku asked as his eyes started to glow again and slowly flew up with his flames. All the students and teachers were directly behind him as they were shocked by the 𝗏𝗏𝗃, but also Izuku's new move. I got to fly, because of my 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗄's quirk, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 stated calmly with a blank face. Your 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗄? You mean �all-for-one? We defeated him back then, so how come you suddenly got his quirk? Izuku asked confused. Right before the Vanguard Action Squad, or to be more precise, while they were getting Bakugo, my 𝗵𝗃𝗲 gave me his quirk. He knew he would be facing All Might, and gave me his quirk. Well, it actually had 2 reasons. Facing All Might was one, but his body had grown too weak to use this quirk, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 explained. So you have to? Izuku asked with wide eyes. That's right, I've got, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 stated as he suddenly appeared in front of Izuku just inches away. All for one. He stated as he gave Izuku a very heavy punch to the gut which crashed him into the floor. Izuku got up but was shaking quite a bit. He slowly flew up as he held up his arm. Dragon fire, he said as a flame with a dragon's head appeared from his hand which was shot towards 𝗳𝗵𝗃, but 𝗳𝗵𝗃 managed to block it with a wall of wind. Izuku then placed his arm up creating an enormous fireball. In mere seconds it was a small fireball, as Izuku then charged right at 𝗳𝗵𝗃. However, 𝗳𝗵𝗃 wasn't faced by this as he just created a shield on his arm which blocked the fireball, but also made it explode, making Izuku get hit with his own flames. Izuku got sent flying as he crashed into the wall from Yue. Is that really all you've got? Well, You've had to fight my high-end Nomu, so I'm already impressed that you managed to last as long, but still, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 stated. Tell me, wasn't your quirk decay? Izuku asked. It was yes, but thanks to this quirk all for one, I managed to get rid of that bothersome quirk, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 stated. Suddenly 𝗬𝗵𝗲's body buffed up as suddenly his hands started to glow as they were covered in a claw-like cloak. Die, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 stated as he shot past Izuku. Once he got past Izuku, 3 cuts on his side appeared as BLD shot out of the wound. 𝗬𝗵𝗲 slammed Izuku into the ground as he crashed into another crater. Izuku managed to get up, but once he did, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 appeared in front of him but then disappeared until he felt slashes all over his body. Izuku screamed in pain until 𝗬𝗵𝗲 appeared again, but this time back in the air, quiet, a bit away from Izuku. It took all Izuku had to just keep standing and to keep his consciousness until 𝗬𝗵𝗲 held up his arm. Well, I'm impressed you're still in one piece, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 stated with a devilish grin. Izuku's body was full of wounds, his back, arms, legs, stomach, even in his face. Izuku had slashes from the claws all over his body. I'll finish it, with your own element, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 said as a big fireball appeared in his hand. Goodbye, he said as he shot the fireball. Izuku fell to his knees. He knew this was it for him. He didn't have any strength left. But suddenly he heard a loud explosion, and noticed the fireball was gone. Then suddenly Bakugo as well as other students appeared in front of him. Nejire quickly crashed down beside him as she placed her arms around him. Mirio stood a bit in front of him as Tamaki stood on the other side next to Izuku. Aizawa stood directly behind him, together with 𝗬𝗵𝗲 and Mike. All the other teachers and students had also gathered up around Izuku. We won't let you lay another finger on him. Everyone shouted in unison. You guys, Izuku said weakly as his eyes got hazy. Mirio looked at him. This isn't good, even when fighting Overhaul. I've never seen him this weak before. At this moment he really is near death. We can't let him take another hit or he'll die for sure. Mirio thought as he faced 𝗬𝗵𝗲 again. Do you all really think you can beat me? 𝗬𝗵𝗲 asked as everyone stood there looking at him silently. Suddenly Bakugo, Todoroki, Nejire all held their arms up as Bakugo shot an explosion, while Todoroki shot his flames, and Nejire shot her energy at him. They all crashed at the spot 𝗬𝗵𝗲 was, but once the moves disappeared, they saw a shield in front of 𝗬𝗵𝗲. Meanwhile Mirio and Kirishima jumped up behind 𝗬𝗵𝗲 as they were about to hit him. 𝗬𝗵𝗲 turned around and wanted to block the hits with his shield as Aizawa then erased the quirk, which made the shield disappear at the last second. Mirio and Kirishima landed both powerful blows to 𝗬𝗵𝗲 which sended him flying. While flying, Nejire, Bakugo, Todoroki, Kaminari, Mina, Aoyama, Mike and a lot of other students shot long-distance moves at 𝗬𝗵𝗲 as this all crashed into him. However, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 managed to block it by activating multiple quirks before activating the shield again. Another student had healed a little of Izuku's energy without 𝗬𝗵𝗲 noticing. Izuku was out of danger, but instead of resting he charged an attack. Izuku shot up behind 𝗬𝗵𝗲. Blazing Nova! He shouted as flames appeared around 𝗬𝗵𝗲. The flames were slowly burning his skin away, but Izuku was too weak to keep the attack up as 𝗬𝗵𝗲 broke it and was about to give Izuku a heavy blow to the head, but once he got closer, Kirishima, Tamaki and Momo all used defensive powers to block the attack while a lot of other long-ranged attacks closed in on 𝗬𝗵𝗲. 𝗬𝗵𝗲 was suddenly surrounded by a veil of wind. 𝗬𝗵𝗲 then felt something wasn't right with him as he felt a heavy strain as well as a heavy headache coming up. Seems I haven't this quirk enough yet, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 said. Well brats, it's your lucky day. I'm retreating for now, so I'll let you live for now. I already know you won't be any threat to me, 𝗬𝗵𝗲 said as he then flew off. Get back, Izuku started as he took a few slow and wobbly steps towards 𝗬𝗵𝗲's direction before he collapsed. Izuku was then immediately taken towards Recovery Girl. A student managed to heal his energy while Recovery Girl used that energy to heal his wounds. After a while they were both done, the wounds had healed and his energy was restored. Recovery Girl then walked out of her office to see everyone waiting for any news on Izuku. How is he doing? Nejire asked as she ran towards Recovery Girl. I've got good and bad news, she stated as everyone frowned after hearing that. The good news is he's completely healed physically as well as his energy. He'll be a bit sore but he's alright besides that, she stated as everyone felt relieved. So what's the bad news? 𝗍𝗬 asked. The bad news is that he's still unconscious and doesn't show any signs of regaining consciousness, so for all we know he could be unconscious for days, maybe even weeks, she stated. What? But you said he was healed and he was alright. Nejire shouted in panic. It's true we've healed him, but Izuku was dying when you brought him in. He barely had a heartbeat and there was literally no energy inside him at all. We've managed to save him in time, but now we'll just have to wait for Izuku to wake up again. I'm sorry but there is nothing I can do to change that, Recovery Girl stated as she looked down with a sad face. Izuku had beaten the high-end Nomu, which seemed impossible before. He even powered up and found a boosted state. After that he went past his limits and fought 𝗵𝗲. However, if it wasn't for the help of all the students and teachers, Izuku would have died. Izuku had been defeated. A few days had passed. Izuku suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. Where am I? He asked silently as he then looked around. I see. Recovery Girl's office. I lost the fight against Shigaraki, she said. Izuku then got up and walked outside. Guess it's still the middle of the night, Izuku stated. His eyes then started to glow as he flew up and flew towards the top of 𝗬𝗧𝗏. There he sat on the edge watching the dark sky. Izuku eventually sat there for a while as the sun got up and students walked around 𝗬𝗧𝗏. Some of 𝗬𝗧𝗏 saw him sitting there, however he didn't really care. All he could think was finding ways to beat 𝗵𝗲. Izuku then noticed his classmates walking into Recovery Girl's office, followed by the big three. Well, I guess the silence will be over soon and the panic will begin, Izuku stated as he rolled on his back. After a few moments he looked towards Recovery Girl's office as he then saw his classmates and the big three running out looking all around. Guess I might as well show them where I am, Izuku sighed as his eyes lighted up and he shot his dragon fire into the sky, taking everyone's attention. He then rolled on his back with his hands behind his head as he closed his eyes. Izuku! He heard a few seconds later as Nejire flew up towards him. Izuku ignored it for some reason but she still got up. Once she was on top of the roof, she flew on top of him and landed. You idiot, we were so worried about you and then you just disappear on us, she said a bit upset. I'm sorry, Izuku said as he placed his arms around her. I lost, didn't I? Izuku stated as she tightened her grip on him. I see I did then. Izuku stated. Nejire looked towards him but his eyes were covered by his hair. When she pushed his hair away, Izuku looked away. You did, but that was only because you had 2 fights before that, Nejire quickly said. I don't know. Maybe I can beat him but then again maybe I can't, Izuku stated as he closed his eyes. Izuku, please stop, she said. Izuku kept silent as everyone else walked up the stairs together with Aizawa, All Might, and 𝗍𝗬𝗏. Nejire got off of Izuku as Izuku got back up but still sat on the edge. Izuku didn't turn around, he just kept sitting like that. Are you feeling any better, Izuku? All Might asked. Yes, he stated shortly. All Might, Aizawa and 𝗍𝗬𝗏 immediately knew something was up. Izuku, I've got a very serious question to ask you, All Might said. Ask away, he answered. 𝗵𝗲 stated. He has All for One, right? Izuku nodded to answer the question. You fought All for One yourself? How strong was he compared to All for One himself? All Might asked. Do you really want to know that? Izuku asked in a cold way. He only used the same amount of power All for One had, but he was holding back. He was used us to test his power. He doesn't have complete control over it yet, but he's definitely stronger already, Izuku answered while gritting his teeth. I see. This is quite the trouble we're in, 𝗍𝗬𝗏 stated. I should have finished him off while he was here. Hell, I should have finished him off earlier than that. When he captured Bakugo, Izuku stated. Izuku, it's not your fault. Nejire stated. I'm going to finish it right now. Izuku stated as his eyes started glowing and he pushed himself from the edge as he then shot towards the city. Izuku! Stop! Aizawa, Nejire and All Might shouted in unison. Can't you erase his quirk? 𝗍𝗬𝗏 asked. If I do, he'll fall, and I doubt even he can handle such a fall without a serious injury, Aizawa explained. Even so, it's better than letting him go like this, 𝗍𝗬𝗏 explained. Izuku then expanded the flames from his feet so Aizawa couldn't see his body to erase his quirk. Nejire then quickly flew after him. Wait, Nejire. Mirio stated. Oh. Izuku is going alone. We have to help him if he goes there. Nejire stated. I'm not telling you to not go, I'm telling you to take this, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 said as he threw a communicator towards her. Where did you get this? She asked. Doesn't matter, tell us if you found him, let us know where it is through that communicator, it's connected to 3 others so we'll be splitting up in 3 groups, once you let us know, we'll immediately come there, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 explained as they then suddenly saw a tower of flames from the edge of the city. Guess we don't have to, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated. Nejire quickly flew towards it as the others ran down, Bakugo flew after her with his explosions, and Tamaki turned his arms into wings while flying after them. Izuku however was rampaging at a hideout from the villains. Shigaraki, get out here, he shouted. Dabi then walked forward. I see you are still alive. Tamura was right then for saying you'd come for him, Dabi stated. So is he coming or not? Izuku asked with his eyes still glowing. Sure, he should be right here in a few moments, but seeing that tower of flames just now, I think he'll be here in a few seconds, Dabi stated as then a hole appeared in the roof and Tamura flew down. So you did survive, great, now I can torment you even more, Tamura stated with an evil grin. You won't be tormenting anyone, I've come to finish you off. Izuku stated seriously. Finish me off. You couldn't even do anything earlier, Tamura provoked. Want me to tell you a secret? Tamura asked. What? Izuku said it's about your mother, Tamura then said as Izuku's eyes widened while he clenched his fists. Nejire, Tamaki and Bakugo then landed behind him. Do you really think that your mother sustained those injuries from an explosion? Tamura asked. Nejire, Tamaki and Bakugo's eyes widened after hearing this. She lost both legs and an arm, she even had a hole on her stomach, Tamura then said. How do you know that? Izuku asked horrified. Because we were the ones who did that too. Hurt, Tamura said with a maniac grin. Flames started to swirl up around Izuku. Nejire was still too shocked to hear this to say or do anything. Every time I grabbed a leg, it crumbled to dust, but Toga kept cutting the leg off before it crumbled her whole body away. Eventually after the other leg and an arm I just had enough and left. I figured you would find her in such a state and that was enough, Tamura stated. As for the hole in her stomach, that really was the work of the explosion, he added. Izuku's flames swirled higher and higher around him, and every time it got bigger it also got intenser. Izuku Nejire managed to bring out. You're going to regret killing my mom off like that, Izuku stated as suddenly the flames shot up high into the sky. Doing such things to my mother, then telling them right in my face is the biggest mistake you could have made, Izuku stated as he walked forward with the pillars still around him. Suddenly Aizawa, Nizu, All Might and the students arrived Oswell. They saw the intense pillar of flames and heard Izuku's anger Oswell as seeing Nejire with a horrified look. Nejire, what happened? 𝗵𝘃𝗀 asked. Nejire only shook her head. She wasn't able to say a thing. You'll regret doing that to my mother right here right now. Izuku shouted. Wait, his mother? Aizawa asked. Tamura did that to his mother, Nejire managed to say as everyone's eyes widened. 𝗵𝘃𝗀 wanted to ran in there but was stopped by Tamaki as he turned his fingers in tentacles to stop him. Let me go, Tamaki, we have to help him, 𝗵𝘃𝗀 stated. Go in there right now and you'll die, Aizawa stated with a serious face as everyone quickly turned towards him. Don't you feel this power coming from Izuku? He isn't messing around, he's pushing himself to his absolute limit, and his anger pushes it even further, Aizawa stated. Izuku won't be able to hold back anymore, not in the state he's in right now, he added. So we can only watch and wait how everything turns out? 𝗵𝘃𝗀 asked while gritting his teeth. Izuku then shot forward towards Tamura with a shout. The pillar disappeared, but the flaming aura around Izuku appeared again. However, even from a distance they saw it was much stronger than before. Izuku threw a flaming punch towards Tamura. Tamura tried blocking it but Izuku's power was much greater than before. He broke right through his defense and sended him flying. Izuku shot after him with insane speed and slammed Tamura into the ground as he stomped both feet in his stomach. Izuku then grabbed Tamura's neck and threw him into the air. He immediately used his fire zone as it split in lots of fire streams. They all made direct contact into Tamura as Izuku immediately shot up after it. He then attacked Tamura from all sides with insane speed. Izuku was moving so fast that the others couldn't even see where he was attacking from. After the barrage, Izuku threw 𝗵𝗲𝗏 towards the ground, but he then shot his burning star at him. Izuku flew back to the spot he started on and landed while everyone was terrified by how relentless Izuku attacked. "I've got to admit, you really did some damage there," 𝗬𝗵𝗏 said as he got up. "But that's not enough to beat me," 𝗬𝗵𝗏 stated as he counterattacked. 𝗬𝗵𝗏 started with punching Izuku in the gut, but immediately a lightning strike shot down on Izuku. After that, multiple fists shot from the ground punching Izuku. 𝗬𝗵𝗏 then mixed ice, wind and incredible power together as he made an enormous boulder of ice. He threw it with incredible power as the wind pushed it even faster. It slammed right into Izuku, who melted everything away before he and the ice boulder reached his friends. "Discharged," 𝗬𝗵𝗏 said as a lot of lightning strikes shot towards Izuku, but since his friends were behind him he couldn't dodge and took it all head-on. "Time to finish this," 𝗬𝗵𝗏 said as he placed his hands up. "Thunder God Trident," he stated as an enormous trident of lightning appeared above them pointing towards Izuku. 𝗬𝗵𝗏 shot it towards them as Izuku placed his hands on the ground. "Burning Fortress?" he shouted as they were all covered by a fortress made of flames. They could feel the clash between the flames and lightning even from inside as it eventually cancelled each other out. Izuku was exhausted and 𝗬𝗵𝗏 was also from his power he used, as well as the damage Izuku caused. "Now it's my turn to finish this," Izuku said as he shot forward. He appeared before 𝗬𝗏 but was hit up close with another discharge. Izuku ignored the pain and blasted 𝗬𝗏 up by shooting a dragon fire up close. 𝗬𝗏 was launched up and was slowly falling down, until he managed to make himself float again. Izuku shot a wall of flames all around 𝗬𝗏. "Death sentence." "Hexodus," Izuku stated as the flames around 𝗬𝗏 turned into lances, but instead of shooting them from the ground, the lances were all around 𝗬𝗏. There was no way to escape. 𝗬𝗏 looked horrified around him. "I told you that you would regret it," Izuku shouted as he slapped his hands past each other as all the lances then pierced 𝗬𝗏. They heard him scream in pain as then even flames shot all around him. Eventually 𝗬𝗏 fell to the ground. Izuku was heavily after using it. "Demon, you're a monster, even that didn't kill you," Izuku, as suddenly a lot of villains showed up while 𝗬𝗏 shot his flames at Izuku. Izuku was then blown back to his friends as he landed on his back on the ground. Izuku managed to get up, but Nejire placed her arms around him from behind. "Let me go. We have to get him," Izuku stated. "No, Izuku. You have to stop. You're not yourself. Not like this," she shouted. "We have to pull back. There are too many of them to face," Nejire stated. "Izuku, you really need to rest now," Aizawa stated. "Fine, I get it, we'll pull back," Izuku stated. The students then ran back, but Izuku stayed in place. "Izuku, didn't you say to pull back?" Mirio asked. "We are, but with this many villains we don't know their quirks, so I'm gonna make sure you all have a head start so we can all get away safely," Izuku stated. "Be careful," Mirio stated as he then ran. Nejire and Bakugo stayed behind with Izuku. "We're making sure you come back with us instead of staying to fight?" Yeah, I get it," Izuku stated as the villains charged towards them. "Scorching Earth," Izuku stated as now multiple streams of fire appeared on the ground, cutting the villains off. However, some of them knew to get past it. Bakugo then shot his AP shot autocannon while Nejire also shot a few energy blasts to keep them away until they heard Aizawa in the communicators saying that they got away far enough. "Guess it's time to head back then," Izuku said, irritated. "Burning Dragon Barrage," Izuku shouted as a huge wall appeared and multiple dragon fires shot from it towards the villains to push them back. Right as he shot it, Bakugo, Izuku and Nejire quickly flew away. As they flew away, Bakugo and Nejire noticed Izuku was flying slower and slower, as well as slowly flying towards the ground. Nejire flew towards him as she placed her arms around him to keep him in the air. "Thanks, Nejire," Izuku stated as they flew back. Nejire was blushing madly. She was holding Izuku like that, and in public at that, but then again, Izuku used a lot of power. They quickly made their way back to UA where all the others also just arrived. They noticed Nejire holding Izuku into the air with only small flames underneath his feet. "Are you alright, Izuku?" Kirishima asked as Nejire, Bakugo and Izuku landed. "Yeah, I'm alright, just have to take it easy for now," he answered. "Still, what was that last move you used?" Kaminari asked. Well, it was partly my anger, it's an improved version of my death sentence. Still Shigaraki is still alive, Izuku explained. Wait, so he became such a monster that he actually survived that? He was pierced all over his body and was burning with flames and still survived. Kaminari asked while freaking out. Kind of, yes, Izuku stated. How can you be so calm about this? It's like it doesn't affect you, Kaminari then asked. You really think that is more shocking to hear than someone explaining to your face how they tortured and tried to kill your own mother? Izuku asked a bit coldly. Wait, what? They all shouted. 𝗬𝗲𝗄 explained that it was him and Toga who played with my mother's life. 𝗬𝗲𝗄 tried to use his decay so she would fall apart, as Toga then cut the limbs off, Izuku explained. And you're not angry about it? Kaminari asked. Kaminari, have you used your quirk too much and turned dumb? Nejire asked. Why, he asked oblivious. Didn't you see that huge pillar of flames, as well as a barrage of powerful moves that would normally be overkill for a villain, then to try and finish it off with a move that would normally kill anyone? Momo asked. Oh wait, you actually tried killing him? Kaminari asked, shocked. Izuku looked away to avoid that question. You weren't you? Bakugo then asked. Alright, yes, I tried, Izuku stated. And what was the reason for it? All Might asked. Isn't that obvious? Kaminari asked. I still want to hear it from Izuku himself, All Might stated seriously. 2 reasons, Izuku stated. First, for what he did to my mother, but the second, because he's too strong as he is. I did finish him now, but he has a lot more comrades now than he had, Izuku explained. Well, since you didn't pull through with killing him, even if he got lucky, it isn't a big deal, but if you had actually killed him, then there would be some explaining to do, and if they notice you did it because of your mother, then that would have been the end of your hero work, All Might explained. I know, it won't happen again, Izuku stated. Afterwards, Class 1A and the big 3 went towards the dorm for Class 1A, where they just sat on the cough as they just talked. Nejire and Izuku sat beside each other with Mirio on the other side of Izuku. While talking, they noticed Izuku was having trouble staying awake. So what do you guys want to do tomorrow? Kaminari asked. Well, maybe we can ask to use the pool again. Nejire asked. Is it alright if we come too then? Mirio asked. Sure, we'd like that. We're all a big happy family, and you're practically living here anyway, Kirishima stated. Who will ask permission though? Uraraka asked. That's a good question, Iida stated. Do you have an idea for who will have the most chance to get permission, Izuku? Mina then asked, but right as everyone looked towards him, they noticed Izuku had fallen asleep against Nejire. Nejire had placed her arm around him, and had placed her head against his as his head laid on her shoulder, and they all noticed Nejire had a bright smile on her face, and Izuku's face was finally at peace. We'll ask him when he wakes up, Mirio stated as he smiled while looking at them. Everyone still stayed talking there while also enjoying how Izuku and Nejire just slept there against each other. However, some couldn't hold it in to make some pictures of them like that. In the end, they were all happy that everyone was alright, and that Izuku didn't change after losing before and hearing the truth. Izuku had woken up from falling asleep on the couch. Everyone was still in the common area talking, but Izuku felt something around him. Then when he looked, he saw Nejire was sleeping as well with her arms around him and a smile on her face. Good morning, Izuku, Kaminari joked. Hey, how long have I been out for? Izuku asked. Just an hour, Uraraka stated. By the way, Izuku, while you were sleeping, we talked about what to do. We wanted to see if we could get permission to use the pool again, Momo explained. Alright, I'll ask, Izuku stated. I'll go with you, Mirio stated. I'll ask for the big 3 to come as well, he added. I will come as well, Iida stated. Izuku slowly got free from Nejire's grip as they walked towards the teacher's room. Izuku then knocked on the door. Come in, they heard, and walked inside. Izuku, what can I do for you? Aizawa asked. Hello, sir, we wanted to ask permission to use the pool again, if that's all right, Izuku stated. Well, I wouldn't have a problem with it, however this time you can't. We're in the middle of building festivals at Uane, Aizawa explained. Alright, I totally forgot about that. Mirio stated. When will it be then? Iida asked. It will start tomorrow actually, Mirio stated. Wait, if that's the case, why haven't we been told about this? Iida asked. Well, every class does create their own sort of festival, I know there will be a beauty contest and there will be a performance from Class 1B as well as more from other classes, 𝗧𝗏 explained. Wait, but if that's the case, what about Class 1A? We didn't even knew about it, so we didn't get anything ready, 𝗧𝗏 stated. That's because we've left your class out, 𝗧𝗏 stated. Why would that be? 𝗧𝗏 then asked. Do you really have to ask? 𝗧𝗏 asked. You've been targeted by villains and fought them numerous times already, maybe even more than 3rd years. Well, apart from work studies, that is, 𝗧𝗏 explained. Your class will just enjoy the festivals and relax for once, 𝗧𝗏 explained. Alright sir, we understand, thank you for telling us, Izuku stated with a smile. Also Izuku, 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 then said. Yes sir, they asked in unison. Eri will be coming as well, he said with a small grin. Eri is coming? They both shouted in surprise. Who's Eri? 𝗧𝗏 asked. You know about that mission 𝗵𝗃 and I worked on? Izuku asked. Where you fought the villain named Overhaul. Yes, I remember that. It was said you managed to retrieve a sort of bullet that can destroy quirks, 𝗧𝗏 stated. Eri was a girl that was being held there. Here BLD was used to create those bullets, but we managed to free her, 𝗵𝗃 explained. I see, she stated. 𝗵𝗃, I'd like you to take her with you. She trusts you both but likes to stay with 𝗵𝗃 since he took her away from Overhaul's grasp. 𝗧𝗏 stated. That's understandable, they said in unison again. Izuku, 𝗵𝗃 and 𝗧𝗏 then walked back towards the dorm and explained everyone how it was going to be. Well, even if we wouldn't make a festival in our class, he could have at least told us about it, Momo stated. That's just 𝗧𝗏, Azui stated. So what are we going to do now? Nejire then asked as she had woken up while Izuku was away. I don't know, for now we're free to go where we want to, 𝗵𝗃 explained. So what will everyone be doing then? Kaminari asked. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to train, Izuku stated as he walked to the door. Hold it. Nejire shouted as then multiple people tackled him. Hey, what's going on? Izuku asked. You're not going to train right now, Nejire said. Izuku looked and noticed Kirishima, Uraraka, Azui, Nejire and Dark Shadow on him. Tokoyami, even you? Izuku asked. Think about it. You first barely survived Shigaraki, then in a rematch you made a draw, but you were so exhausted an hour ago that you fell asleep. Your body needs to rest, he explained. Fine, I get it, no training. Then Izuku stated as they then got off him. So can you guys get off me now? Izuku asked. Actually, we're quite comfortable like this, Azui stated. That's right, Nejire and Uraraka stated in unison. Izuku then tried to crawl from underneath them as Azui then grabbed his hands with her tongue. No trying to get away from us, Izuku, you'll be forced to stay with us for the rest of the day, Azui stated. And who is us? Izuku asked. Well, for starters, the 3 of us girls, and also the rest of the people here, Nejire stated. We'll hold a sleepover? Uraraka shouted. This is a waste of time, Bakugo said, walking away. Izuku then used his quirk and stopped Bakugo from getting away. If I'm not getting away from this, then you won't either. Izuku stated. Please don't do this, Bakugo stated, desperate, as then Mina, Kaminari, Kirishima and Siro appeared behind him, grabbing him and pulling him back. Damn it, Izuku! He shouted as he was pulled back. Everyone then started laughing. Afterwards they just talked some more. The big 3 went away to get ready for the sleepover in Dorm 1A in the common area with everyone. Izuku was being watched closely by Uraraka and Azui when Nejire was away. Every sudden movement would get him a slap from Azui's tongue. You know, that actually hurts, Izuku stated. Then stop making sudden movements, Azui stated. Eventually the big 3 came back and everyone laid in the common area on the ground in a sleeping bag. Nejire placed herself next to Izuku and laid herself against him. They all had a lot of fun before they then went to sleep. The next morning started early because Nejire and Tamaki had to get ready. 𝗵𝗃 had to go as well because he had to pick up Eri. Izuku went for his fitness round, but was being followed by Uraraka and 𝗧𝗏 to keep him from using his quirk to train. After a while they got back to the dorm and all took a shower. When they were done, 𝗵𝗃 had returned and brought Eri. Once Izuku noticed them, he saw Eri hiding behind 𝗵𝗃's leg because she was afraid of so many unknown people. When she suddenly saw Izuku, she lighted up. Izuku, she yelled and ran towards him as Izuku pulled her in a hug. "Hey Eri, how have you been doing?" Izuku asked as she then told him everything from how she was examined after being freed and how she got therapy but also met some other kids from her age, but also how she wanted to see Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗀 again. "I see, a lot has happened to you then," Izuku smiled. "Shall we go? The festivals will start soon, and the beauty contest will be the first. I bet you want to cheer on Nejire, right Izuku?" 𝗵𝗃𝗀 said. Izuku began blushing while scratching his head nervously. Everyone walked towards UA as indeed the beauty contest started. All the students had their time at the stage and the last was Nejire who showed her beauty while flying around with her quirk. "Wow," Izuku stated. Suddenly Nejire flew over the audience. Every student was being filmed and she was no different. Suddenly she reached Izuku and him softly on the lips before then flying back with a bright smile. Everyone cheered for the two as Nejire flew back and had an amazing bright smile on her face which showed her beauty even more. Eventually she even won the beauty contest. Izuku however was still surprised by the sudden act. "So how did I do?" Nejire asked excited. "Well, look for yourself," 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated as Izuku still had wide eyes which held surprise. "Izuku, are you okay?" she asked softly. "I am, yes," Izuku stated. "I mean, wow, you looked amazing but I never expected you to embrace me like that while being filmed," Izuku stated. "But you were gorgeous," Izuku stated as she began blushing. "Well, I just wanted to embrace you, and when I did I managed to give everyone a bright smile," she stated. "So me winning is also partly thanks to you," she stated. "So you used me to win, huh?" Izuku teased. "I see how it's going," Izuku said as he acted like he was feeling used. "Oh Izuku, I'm sorry," she said feeling guilty. "I'm just teasing you, even without that smile you would have won," Izuku stated as she blushed. "Thank you," she stated as she hugged him. Nejire then talked a bit with Eri who was happy to see her again. Eri had a bright smile after seeing everyone again and that made them all happy. Izuku then arrived next to Bakugo as he was looking at the act from class 1B. "What are they even doing?" Izuku asked as 𝗵𝗃𝗀 with Eri in his neck stood next to him as Nejire also walked closer. "Seems 1B is doing their performance," Bakugo stated. "Oh wow, a dragon?" Eri stated as she saw a few people walking a giant dragon head and body. "Would be more amazing if they could have made the dragon breath fire," Izuku stated. "But maybe," Izuku said as he activated his quirk and placed a flame on his finger. "The biggest question is, how far should the fire go?" Izuku stated. "Third row," 𝗵𝗃𝗀 stated. "𝗵𝗃𝗀, don't encourage him," Nejire said while slapping his arm. Fifth row, Eri said. "Eri, not you too?" Nejire sounded desperate. "Pathetic, let it reach us or no ball," Bakugo stated. "I'll show you who has ball," Izuku stated. "Izuku, no," Nejire said trying to hold him from doing it. "Izuku, yes," Izuku said, and the moment 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗍 made a dragon's growl, Izuku used his quirk to make the dragon shoot fire all the way above Izuku and the others. Class 1B panicked by the sudden flames, however Bakugo, Eri, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and Izuku were laughing. Nejire felt bad for Class 1B but still had to laugh as well. "You really are insane," Nejire stated. "I can make it better," Izuku said. "Bakugo, you like to shout, right? Tell them to roar again," Izuku stated. "Hey you DMN extras. Do that again," Bakugo shouted. The moment 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗍 roared again, Izuku this time used his dragon fire as a flame with a dragon's head shot from their dragon. They fell over in panic as the dragon flew over the audience. Class 1B didn't know what was going on but the audience loved it. Izuku suddenly split the dragon in 5 as he made them flew up and explode into the air creating red fireworks which then created a loud round of applause. Izuku then walked away still laughing. "That really was the best," Bakugo stated still laughing. "Did you see their faces when an actually dragon came out of the dragon?" Bakugo stated as he laughed harder and harder. "You shouldn't tease others like that," Nejire stated laughing as well. "Couldn't help it, they did get a loud cheer from the crowd though, so I helped them," Izuku stated. "Well, that's true," Nejire stated. Izuku, Nejire, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and Eri walked around UA some more, but eventually it was time for Eri to get back, leaving Izuku and Nejire alone together. "Well, today was pretty nice," Izuku stated with a smile. "It sure was, with you, 𝗵𝗃𝗀 and Eri," Nejire stated. "But how did you create those fur works?" Nejire asked. "That's easy, I can make my own flames explode so small that it looks like fireworks, Izuku explained. Can you show me again? She asked. Izuku then show a flaming arrow into the sky as it then suddenly exploded and created a firework. Amazing, she stated as then suddenly flowers made of light flames swirled around them. Wow, Izuku, she stated amazed. Well, I guess since it's such an amazing day, we should at least end it a special way, Izuku stated. What do you mean? She asked. Izuku then stood right in front of her. Nejire, I love you, Izuku stated as she blushed. I love you too, she stated as they both slowly got closer and closer until their lips touched and they but right as they Izuku made the flowers explode to create fireworks around them. After that amazing day, Izuku had woken up again in his bed. He still remembers the evening before where he ended the day in a special way. Nejire was extremely happy after that, especially since Izuku made it such a beautiful moment. Izuku got up and put his clothes on and walked downstairs. He made breakfast and went to go for his jogging. After he returned, he took a shower and put his clothes on again and walked to the 𝗵𝗵𝗃 area where everyone already sat talking. Suddenly the big three walked in again, but at that moment so did Aizawa. Izuku, Principal Nizu asked for you, he stated as everyone was surprised. Izuku followed Aizawa towards Nizu's office. Good morning, Izuku. I'm sorry to bother you so early in the morning, Nizu stated. It's alright, I always wake up early and do my early jogging, Izuku stated. But Mr. Aizawa told me you wanted to see me, he asked. Yes, I have gotten a request for your assistance from a pro hero, Nizu stated. Who is it? Izuku asked. The pro hero that asked for your help is the pro hero 𝗧𝗵𝗃, he stated. What does 𝗧𝗵𝗃 want with me? Izuku asked confused. You can ask him yourself, he asked to meet you, Nizu stated. Alright, when do I have to see him? Izuku asked. Actually, he wanted to see you right away when you heard. We'll take you to him, Nizu stated as they walked out of Nizu's office and walked outside. Once outside they got into a car and drove towards a huge tower where you can see the entire city. Izuku, Nizu and Aizawa walked inside and took the elevator to the top floor. Once there they saw 𝗧𝗵𝗃 looking outside. Once he heard the elevator open and people walking towards him, he turned around. Izuku, it's good to finally see you in person, 𝗧𝗃 stated. Hello 𝗧𝗃, Nizu told me you wanted my help for something. Izuku asked. Well, now getting straight to the point, let's go sit there and get something to drink first, 𝗧𝗃 said while pointing towards a cafeteria. They all got something to drink and sat down. Alright, it's true I asked for you help, but first I have to ask, how are you with infiltrations? 𝗧𝗃 says. Infiltrations? Why is that? Izuku asked. Well, it's true I need your power on this one, but you also have to be stealthy because we'll have to infiltrate somewhere, 𝗧𝗃 explained. It's not really like I trained on it, but I can be pretty stealthy, Izuku stated. But what do you want to infiltrate then? Izuku asked. We've gotten information about some activity in a villain hideout. I can't really say what's happening there, but they told me it's dangerous, 𝗧𝗃 explained. That's why I asked you, just like me you can fly with your quirk, and I happened to see your fight with 𝗵𝗃 Shigaraki the other day. Even though just barely, you actually won from him with that power. He was on the ground but you were still standing and throwing moves, 𝗧𝗃 explained. So actually, to say it bluntly, I'm your backup on this mission. Izuku asked. Well, if you say it like that it really sounds like a selfish request, 𝗧𝗃 said as he laughed awkwardly. I don't mind helping you out, but I want to know, how dangerous is this mission? Izuku asked. To be completely honest, it's deadly. If we screw up we could end up losing our lives. We'll also have communicators with us that reaches our camp a bit away from the hideout, so we can relay information to them, 𝗧𝗃 explained. I see. Well then if that's how it is, I guess I can't let you go alone, Izuku stated. Izuku, are you sure about this? 𝗧𝗃 just told you that a screw-up could possibly cost you your life and you still want to go? Aizawa asked. Well, he says possibly, so it's not certain, and even if it is, then all the more reason not to screw up, Izuku explained. And if it's really that dangerous infiltrating, then it's also dangerous for the outside world, so it's better to know what we're up against, Izuku stated. You do have a point, but I do hope you'll come back alive. We'll explain your classmates what you're doing, but we'll also have to tell them the risk in case the worst happens, Nizu explained. I understand, Izuku answered. So when will we do this? Izuku asked. When are you available? 𝗧𝗃 says. Well, I've got nothing planned, and if I go back I might rethink this, or the others might find out and try to hold me there, Izuku stated. Alright, then we'll leave in an hour, I'll notify the higher-ups, Hawks said. We'll head back to UA and explain everyone what's going on, Nizu explained as he and Aizawa got up. We'll be heading to the airport, even though mostly only planes fly from there, there should be a helicopter waiting for us to take us to the camps, Hawks explained. Izuku nodded. Izuku and Hawks as they flew with their quirks towards the airport. Aizawa and Nizu drove back to UA. Hawks had already notified the higher-ups and heard that they could leave the moment they arrived. Once Izuku and Hawks arrived, they were met with the Chief of Defense as well as a few other pros like Endeavor and Gang Orca, as well as Ryukyu and a few lesser-known pros who came along to protect the camp in case anything happens. Izuku and Hawks got on the helicopter and flew off. Meanwhile at UA, Nizu and Aizawa got back to UA. They then walked to Dorm 1A where Class 1A and the Big Three were waiting for Izuku, however were surprised to see Aizawa and Nizu walking in because they wanted to speak to Izuku. Alright everyone, there is something we have to tell you all, Aizawa stated as everyone walked closer. Is it about Izuku? Kirishima asked as Aizawa nodded. Izuku is on a mission together with the pro hero Hawks, Aizawa stated. On what mission? And when will they be back? Nejire asked. Well, about that, Aizawa stated. It's alright, I'll explain it to them, Nizu said. The mission itself is an infiltration, as for when Izuku will be back that's unknown, Nizu stated. Wait, if it's just an infiltration, why is it unknown when he'll come back? Todoroki asked. Because we don't even know if he'll come back alive, Nizu stated bluntly as everyone gasped with wide eyes. What do you mean by that? Momo asked. Exactly as I said, I'll explain how it went, Nizu stated. I asked Izuku to come, because Hawks requested his help. We went to see Hawks and he told us he had an infiltration mission and needed Izuku's help. Izuku said he didn't mind helping but wanted to know how dangerous it was. Hawks explained that it could end deadly. A screw-up could possibly cost them their lives, Nizu explained. And Izuku went there anyways? Mirio asked with a bit of fear. Nizu nodded. They are wearing communicators to relay information back to the camp close to the base, so if anything happens we still end up with information. However, he said he went there because he couldn't let Hawks go alone, and he said since it's dangerous to infiltrate, it should also be dangerous for the outside world, so it's better to know what we're up against, Aizawa explained. But he could die, Uraraka stated. He said it's only a possibility and not certain. And even if it was certain, that would be all the more reason to not screw up, Aizawa explained. That idiot, Bakugo stated while still being worried about him. To be completely honest, I think Izuku went there because even if he died, he would still give us useful information which could be able to keep us safe. That's actually really like him, Nizu stated. I don't want him to die, Azui suddenly said with tears in her eyes. It's not certain in which state he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back unharmed, maybe with wounds, but death is possible. We're not saying this to scare you, we're just telling you this if the worst would come to pass, Aizawa stated. Meanwhile, Izuku and Hawks had reached the camp, which was located in a forest, sort of like the camp from the Wild 𝗵𝗃𝗃. Izuku and Hawks took their communicators and placed them in their ears. You don't have to click any button, we'll be able to hear anything you say, the chief stated. Izuku and Hawks nodded as they walked towards the door to leave. Izuku, Hawks, they heard. As they turned around they saw Ryukyu standing behind them. Please be careful and come back safe, she stated as the two nodded and walked outside. You ready for this, Izuku? Hawks asked as they were about to enter the forest. Let's go, Izuku stated seriously. They both were very nervous about it but still went anyways. After a while of walking, they found the hideout. It was a big mansion with guards everywhere. So how do we get in? Izuku whispered. Well, if we take them out, the others might notice, but if we get find out, we'll be in trouble with all those guards, Hawk stated. I can take care of all those guards when the time comes, but we need to find a way inside, Izuku stated. Well, there should be an air vent around the side. It's not guards since there actually aren't entrances, and you'll have to fly to be able to reach it, Hawk stated. That's why you needed someone that could flying, Izuku stated. That, and to fly away when things go south, he answered. Hawks and Izuku went to the side and flew towards the air vent as they then crawled inside it. We've made it in, Hawks whispered. Good job, you guys, they heard in the communicator. They crawled through the air vent and then found a room. They noticed the League of Villains sitting there. So as soon as 𝗵𝗲𝗃 awakens again, we'll raid the heroes. Fine by me, 𝗬𝗲𝗏 suddenly said. How is his recovery going anyway? 𝗵𝗃𝗲 asked. I heard he's healing pretty good. If it stays like this he'll probably awaken next week, 𝗬𝗏𝗃 said. What about Nejire? Where has he gone off to? 𝗬𝗏𝗏 asked. Apparently he's somewhere else recruiting an ally from 𝗬𝗏𝗏 𝗵𝗃𝗲 stated. Apparently he's called 𝗳𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲. He added Izuku and Hawks crawled further to the air vent silently. Apparently, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 is healing here. They're getting an ally from 𝗬𝗏𝗏 called 𝗳𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗲 and they are planning to raid the heroes when Shigaraki wakes up. They suspect that will be next week, Izuku silently whispered. Hawks looked at him with a proud smile as Izuku was relaying all the information. Eventually they found a strange large room. No one was there, so they opened the air vent and entered the room. However, what they saw shocked them. There was one big capsule in the middle and 10 more on the walls. What even is this? Hawks asked, shocked. Oh no, Izuku stated. What is it? Do you know what that is? Hawks said. They are called 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗧𝗏. I fought one back at UA. I managed to defeat it, but that was a test run. There are 10 more of those, Izuku stated. Are they really that dangerous? The chief asked in the communicator. They're really strong. I think apart from me there are only a few people who can fight those things one-on-one. Endeavor should be able to beat one, but other pros can only hold it off for a while in a one-on-one, Izuku explained. Alright, once we get back we'll gather all the heroes that we can, the chief stated. Izuku, there is a big capsule here, but I've never seen the person inside. Hawks stated. Izuku walked closer and noticed that it was 𝗵𝗲𝗃. That's 𝗵𝗲𝗃 Shigaraki. He's normally covered in hands. I've seen him twice without them, so I remember his face, Izuku stated. According to this thing here, it says he's 50% healed and will only take 2 more days, Hawks stated. That's way shorter than 𝗬𝗏𝗏 said. Izuku stated as the chief noted everything they said. Suddenly a doctor walked into the room and Izuku remembered the doctor. It was the one that told Izuku about his quirk. Wait, aren't you the doctor that tells kids their quirks? Izuku asked. Rumor has it that people that go past him mostly get out of his room quirkless, Hawk stated. So you were with 𝗬𝗏 all this time. Now I know why people end up quirkless when they see you. You let 𝗬𝗏 take their quirks. Izuku shouted towards the man. The man just panicked and slammed a button as all the capsules opened up except for the big one holding Shigaraki. CRP, this isn't good, Hawks stated. Izuku's eyes lighted up as he shot a hole through the roof. Hawks, get out, Izuku stated. What about you? Hawks asked as Izuku aimed his hands at each other but at the distance of his shoulders. Izuku created a big strong fireball. I'll destroy 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗃's capsule, that should stop his recovery, and if lucky damage him more, that way we'll have more time. Izuku stated as he then shot the fireball towards 𝗵𝗃𝗃's capsule as it exploded. 𝗵𝗃𝗃's unconscious body was shot against the wall, damaging it even more as all the capsules exploded one at a time. Let's go, Izuku said, grabbing Hawks' hand while flying at high speed. What's the rush? We're up in the air, Hawks stated. Look behind you, Izuku said as 4 of the 𝗵𝗏s managed to fly while another 𝗵𝗏 held one of the flying 𝗵𝗏's feet. He launched some sort sharp WHP on his head towards them. Izuku shot flames at the WHP on that 𝗵𝗏's head but it only deflected it. Get ready to get away, Izuku said also for the camp. We're being followed by 5 𝗵𝗏s, Hawks said as they then heard fighting from the other side of the communicator. They found us, they heard the chief shout. Once Izuku heard this, he shot towards the camp at top speed and arrived in seconds. He saw the pros fight off a lot of villains. Izuku used his dragon fire barrage to target all the villains. Is everyone here? Izuku asked as they all nodded. Get in the helicopter, Izuku then stated as he placed Hawks on the ground. What about you? 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗏 asked. I'll be fine, I'll get on once you guys get away far enough, Izuku stated as he flew back up as then the 𝗵𝗏s arrived. Everyone quickly got on the helicopter as it flew up. The 𝗵𝗏 with the WHP tried attacking the helicopter but Izuku made a WHP of flames and deflected it but was hit strong in the back, launching him to the ground. Are you alright? He heard in the communicator. Don't worry about me and go, Izuku shouted, getting up. Izuku covered himself in flames, going full power. Two 𝗵𝗍s charged at him from the sides. Izuku managed to backflip just in time to dodge, then another extended his arm to punch Izuku. However, Izuku managed to shoot himself away just a bit more, just enough to dodge it, but then his stomach got stabbed at the side by the WHP from one of the 𝗵𝗍's head. One of them 𝗧𝗏𝗍𝗍 fights using a WHP on his head. There is one that can extend his arm, the other two so far only through a punch, but they all have the power to fight extremely strong in close combat, Izuku stated. Is he even getting us information while making sure we escape? Gang Orca thought. Suddenly the pros noticed the last 𝗵𝗍 acting strange. Watch out, Izuku! Ryukyu shouted. Izuku looked up and saw the 𝗵𝗍 suddenly shooting spikes from his body down towards Izuku. Izuku quickly jumped up and kicked around in flames, creating a flaming tornado around him, blasting the spikes away. I trust you saw that and don't need explaining on that, Izuku stated. Izuku, we're far away now, you can come back? 𝗫𝗏𝗏 stated. Good to know, Izuku stated as suddenly his tornado was cancelled out and spikes shot from Izuku's front. It cut Izuku all over his body and stabbed his right arm, left shoulder, hip and left leg. Izuku then got punched in the face by one of the 𝗵𝗍 as another jumped with 2 feet on his stomach and started slamming on his head. Izuku! They shouted until they noticed the 𝗵𝗍 was shot off of him with intense flames. I'm not dying here, they heard him say weakly. Izuku placed his hands on the floor. Raging volcano! Izuku shouted as a giant circle appeared around the 5 𝗵𝗍s as then flames shot up through the entire circle like an erupting volcano. This launched the 𝗵𝗍s up in the air as Izuku then created another fireball, launching them far away with a lot of force. Izuku then used his remaining power to shoot him with all his force towards the helicopter. Izuku held out his hand as he didn't have the strength to fly or use his quirk anymore. Izuku was closing in on the helicopter, but his hand barely missed to grab the helicopter. However, 𝗫𝗏𝗏 quickly grabbed his arm as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 then also helped to get him in. Izuku was in terrible shape. He was unconscious now as his head was covered in blood. He also had stab wounds in his shoulder, arm, hip and leg as well as many cuts. This is horrible, Ryukyu stated. I feel a pulse and he's still breathing even though it's weak. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟 stated as they immediately flew to an hospital. Once they arrived, doctors were already standing ready with a stretcher to bring him to the surgery room. Izuku was then taken to surgery. Meanwhile at UA, 𝗍𝗍 and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 were still at the dorm for Class 1A when suddenly 𝗍𝗍 got called. Hello, this is 𝗍𝗍 stated. Oh 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗟, wait, I'll set you on speaker, 𝗍𝗍 stated. Alright, you're on speaker now, how did it go? 𝗍𝗍 asked. We found out a lot and everyone is still alive for now, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 stated. I see, 𝗍𝗍 stated. What do you mean by alive for now? 𝗧𝗏𝗍 stated. Izuku, he's in terrible condition and is now under surgery, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 stated. He was in such a bad condition that we don't even know if he'll survive. The mission went way worse than we could have imagined, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 explained. What? Everyone shouted. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, we're coming right now. Where are you? Aizawa asked as 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 then gave his location. Everyone quickly made their way there and after a while they arrived. 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, Aizawa said as they arrived. Good to see you're all here. Come, I asked for an empty room so we can talk in peace. Izuku is still under surgery, 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 explained. They then walked to another room where all of Class 1A and the big 3 fitted together with 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, 𝗍𝗍 and 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏. So what happened? Aizawa asked. We started off good. We learned that Shigaraki was recovering there. We also found out that they plan to attack once Shigaraki fully recovers, but they're also recruiting a comrade of all for one called 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙 searched in a chamber, we found one big capsule and 10 smaller ones. Izuku recognized the creatures as high-end 𝗵𝗃 stated as everyone's eyes went wide. You mean there are 10 more of those? Aizawa asked. It gets worse, Hawk stated. It said Tomura was healed for 50% and only needed 2 days to recover, he explained as everyone then gasped. A doctor suddenly walked in while we were there, and Izuku remembered him as the man that told him about his quirk, and it seems he was helping all for one getting useful quirks, Hawk stated. So what happened then? Mirio asked worriedly. The doctor pushed a button which opened up the 10 capsules for the 𝗵𝗃. Izuku blasted a hole through the roof as our escape route, He then destroyed all capsules including the one from Shigaraki with a powerful fireball. He also wounded the unconscious Shigaraki some more, but we don't know how much. We don't know if they had another capsule like that or how long it takes to build, or how long Shigaraki needs to heal now, he explained. Izuku then quickly grabbed my arm and shot through the roof, but we were followed by 5 of them. We quickly got back to camp as they were attacked as well, but Izuku easily took care of them. He ordered everyone to get on the helicopter, but he stayed behind fighting those high-end nomus, Hawks said as everyone looked worried. He would hold them off until we were far enough. At first that worked. He was even providing us more information, so we know now that one of them has some sort of 𝗬𝗍𝗶 on his head, but he can stab like a spear. 2 of them only used close combat, while the 4th extended body parts. The 5th, however, could use his body to shoot spikes, Hawk stated. Izuku was doing pretty well. He did get a heavy punch from the back and got stabbed in his side of the stomach, but that was it until the 5th attacked. Izuku made a flaming tornado to protect himself and was about to come to us, however, Hawk stated while gritting his teeth. What happened to him? Nejire asked with tears in her eyes. His tornado suddenly broke down as more spikes were shot at him and pierced his shoulder, arm, hip and leg, while cutting his body all over. After that he got a heavy punch to the face, making him fall to the ground. Another Nomu jumped with 2 feet on his stomach while then starting to slam on his head wildly, Hawk stated as everyone looked horrified. We heard him say he wouldn't die there, then suddenly the Nomu shot off of him. He then used a move he named Raging Volcano to attack them and launch them up and launch them away with a fireball. He then used all his strength to launch himself at us, Hawk stated. When we caught him he was unconscious, his head was covered in BLD and he had cuts and stab wounds. He's been under surgery ever since we got back, Hawk stated. Suddenly a doctor walked in. Doctor, how is Izuku doing? Hawks asked calmly. He's stable for now, the doctor stated. I'm not going to lie, with all the damage he sustained he could have easily died. The boy has extremely strong willpower to live, the doctor stated. Luckily none of his vital organs was damaged, however he had broken ribs as well as a few bones in his face were broken, and his skull also had cracks. We managed to fix everything, and he's stable for now. We however don't know if that will get any worse, that's why I said for now, but the way it's going now, he'll make a complete recovery, the doctor stated as everyone sighed relieved. Can we see him? Nizu asked. Only if you're calm. He's still unconscious. We don't know how long it'll take for him to wake up, the doctor stated. Everyone nodded and followed them. Eventually they reached Izuku as he was covered in bandages and connected to monitors. They all looked at him. Everyone was worried but were glad he was still alive. Izuku had been unconscious for a few more hours after the surgery. Once he opened his eyes he felt as light as a feather. He didn't feel like he had been through a rough battle at all. Where am I? Izuku asked as he opened his eyes. Once he had them open and looked around, he saw his classmates and the big 3 smiling at him with tears in their eyes. I guess I'm back, Izuku stated. It was a very close call though, Hawk stated. You can say that again, Izuku stated, but how come I don't feel any pain? Izuku asked. We brought you to the hospital, they had a surgery on you since you had broken some ribs and cracked your skull, Hawk stated. They've made the best doctors work on you while a nurse used a healing quirk on you which also took away your pain and exhaustion, Izawa stated. Oh, I see, Izuku stated as he then looked at his friends. You guys are mad at me, aren't you? Izuku asked while knowing the answer. You bet we are, you stupid idiot. Nejire stated as she hugged him while crying. We all thought we would never see you again when we heard about your mission, she stated. Izuku then also heard Azui and Mina cry a little. Izuku got out of bed breaking his hug with Nejire as he grabbed her hand, pulling her closer to Azui and Mina as he then hugged all 3 of them. I'm sorry for worrying you all, I really am, but I don't regret going, Izuku stated. What do you mean? Mina asked. If I hadn't gone, then Hawks and the others might not have survived, and this way we know what we're up against. If the villains just raided us with Shigaraki's new power, and the high-end Nomas out of the blue, there would be no way for us to win, Izuku explained. Well, that's true, Nejire stated. And look at it on the bright side, everyone that went is still alive and we have information on the enemy, Izuku stated with a smile. You are way too positive, Hawk stated. You almost died, you know, he stated. Well, I'm alive, that's all that counts for me, Izuku stated. After a while Izuku got released from care and was allowed to go out. I think we should attack the villains, Izuku stated. You got hit on the head harder than I thought, 𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗁 stated. I'm serious, if Shigaraki wakes up our chances will be even lower, Izuku stated. Well, he's got a point there, Azui stated. Izuku, tell me, how do you think we stand a chance of 10 of those high-end Nomus? Hawks asked in a serious way. And are you sure you can fight, he asked. I'm sure I'm ready to fight again, I'll fight for my friends and everyone else, Izuku stated. Well, are they? Hawks asked as he looked at Izuku's friends who looked worried. My classmates are more capable as they and everyone else thinks, it's mostly that the situation overwhelms them and fear stops them, but them as a group could easily handle such a Nomu if they wanted to. We've got a lot of people who can restrain an enemy, as well as some powerful fighters, and we've got some people who can make plans on the spot, Izuku stated. As for the big three, I'm sure they can handle at least one of them too. Their teamwork is amazing and I don't doubt for a second that they can do it, Izuku stated. Alright, but that still leaves 8 more of those suckers, Hawk stated. Endeavor can fight one-on-one too with such a Nomu, although it would be close. However, if someone forms a plan and fights together with Endeavor it would be easy. I'm pretty sure I can take 2 of them myself, and I'm sure if we get a bunch of pros there should be a few people who can easily create strategies and form groups that work best together to handle those Nomus. I'll also try and help 𝗬𝗵𝗃 with other groups as possible, Izuku explained. Well, it has a lot of holes in it, but this might work. I'm sure when those strategists he talks about hear this they will know what he means and act on it, Aizawa explained. Well, why not ask the chief then? Hawks said, pointing towards the chief who was waiting for them. Ah, Izuku, I'm glad you recovered, the chief stated. Thanks, chief, but I have to talk with you about something, Izuku stated seriously. Alright, let's ask for an empty room, the chief stated as he asked a doctor for an empty room to talk in. The chief, Hawks, Aizawa, Nizu and Izuku walked in, however the big 3 followed Izuku. We're coming, 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. Well, alright, Izuku stated with a smile as they also walked inside, leaving class 1A waiting. So Izuku, what is this about? The chief asked. I've been thinking and talked with Aizawa, Nizu and Hawks about it, but I think we should attack the villains, Izuku stated. Are you sure? You just barely survived going there, the chief asked. And how will we handle those Nomus? He asked. Actually, Izuku had a plan for this already, Hawks stated. He's pretty sure he could handle 2 of those himself, and Endeavor could take 1 if he fought one-on-one, but could be easier if he worked together as well. Hawks stated as he looked at 𝗵𝗃𝗁. The 3 of us can take 1 of them as well if we work together, 𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated as Nejire and 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗁 nodded confidently. Alright, but that covers around 4 of them, there are 10. The chief stated. My classmates can win from 1 as well. My class has a lot of members who restrain enemies. If they put that together and then the strongest 𝗬𝗵𝗃𝗁 class finishing it off, we also have someone who can make plans on the spot, which have worked so far, Izuku explained. And if they can't beat it, they can at least hold it off until backup arrives for them, Izuku stated. I figured if we could get a lot of pros, I'm sure there are some strategists who can make groups that could work together and beat those things, Izuku explained. To be honest, if you explain it like that, then it might work, the chief stated. I think I can manage the gathering of heroes, but you'll have to convince them, the chief stated. I will. Izuku stated. Alright, I'll let Hawks call you when we've gathered them, the chief stated before walking out. You are 100% sure about this, Izuku? It's not that I doubt you, I'm just making sure you are certain about this, Nizu asked. I'm certain, Nizu sir, you know a lot of heroes and their quirks. I know you could create a team which could easily handle a Nomu, and I know 2 others who can lead a group to victory in a battle, Izuku stated. Who would that be? Aizawa asked. Well, I know you could make a team as well, but Momo can think of amazing plans on the spot, and I'm sure Sir Night Eye could as well, Izuku explained. You're right. Sir could totally do that. 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗁 stated. I'm sure there are even more people who can, the more groups the better. If they work together then that would be even better, Izuku stated. Alright, but let me ask you this right here and now, Aizawa stated. What if Shigaraki awakens earlier than we had hoped and joins the battle? What then? And I'm sure those Nomus aren't our only problem, Aizawa asked. Don't worry about that, Izuku stated, actually ignoring the question. They walked out and then walked back to UA. Everyone trained like crazy until 2 days later Hawks made contact with Izuku, telling him they made contact with all the pros. So, where do you want to talk to them? Hawk says, "The arena for the sports festival, we've got a lot of seats there and a lot of room if there isn't enough seats," Izuku stated. After that, Hawks hung up and Izuku walked towards 𝗍𝗬 to explain everything. 𝗍𝗬 then asked all the students and teachers to meet up at the sports festival stadium. Once Izuku arrived, he saw Hawks and the chief waiting at the entrance. All the students walked inside as 𝗧𝗵𝗲 pros walked in as well. "Are you ready for this?" Hawks asked as Izuku nodded. The three of them walked together and walked up the fighting stage. Izuku was given a microphone then as all the pros and students looked at him. "Thank you everyone for coming. I'm sure everyone here is wondering why you were called here and why there are so many pros and all the students from UA here," Izuku stated. "I asked everyone to come because we need your help," Izuku stated. "Hawks and we infiltrated a villain hideout a few days ago. I'm sure everyone remembers the fight between All Might and that major villain All for One. Well, 𝗵𝗃 Shigaraki, leader of the League of Villains, holds that power right now," Izuku stated. "I fought him once and beat him, but I wasn't able to capture him. He was taken away and is healing in their base as we speak," she explained. "When Hawks and I infiltrated, we learned that they are planning to raid the city when Shigaraki awakens. We've managed to delay that plan but learned that there are incredibly strong 𝗵𝗃s there. If they were to raid the city with that force together with Shigaraki's power, we don't stand a chance," Izuku stated. "So why have we been called here?" Best Jeanist asked as he walked closer to the stage. "We've gathered all the pros and students of UA because we're planning on attacking the villains before they attack us," Izuku stated as he noticed everyone's surprise. "You might wonder why we've thought of that, and the answer is quite simple. We have to strike before Shigaraki is back to full strength. If he's at full strength and attacks together with those 𝗵𝗃s, we lose. But right now, Shigaraki is out of the picture, at least for a while, and even if he joined, he can't be at full power," Izuku stated. "How can you be so sure about that?" 𝗵𝗃𝗲 asked. "Because when Hawks and I infiltrated, we saw he needed a few more days of recovery in that capsule. I destroyed the capsule as well as dealt more damage to Shigaraki before leaving there," Izuku stated as he saw 𝗵𝗃𝗲 looking surprised but then proud. "I'm sure we can pull this off. I know there are at least a few people what can strategize and create teams that could handle the 𝗵𝗃s. The students are capable as well. Even if they can't beat a 𝗵𝗃, they are without a doubt able to hold one off. And I'm sure if some students work together they could handle a 𝗵𝗃 as well," Izuku explained. "I'm pretty sure I can handle at least two 𝗵𝗃s together on my own. I don't know much about everyone's quirks here, but I'm sure 𝗻𝗍𝗲 can fight one of them in a one-on-one and win. It will be easier if he fights together, but I know he can also beat one on his own. I personally think there are more people who can, but I think fighting in a group gives the most chances. Of course, there are normal villains and the League of Villains to handle, but I'm sure with the people we've got here that we can do this," Izuku stated. "As for the fight, I'll be sure to help all of the groups fixing the 𝗵𝗃s and also fighting the villains. I'm not able to help everyone, but I'll be sure to help wherever I can," Izuku stated. "I have a question," Izuku heard as he edged shot holding his hand up. "What if by any chance, 𝗵𝗃 Shigaraki joins this fight?" 𝗧𝗵𝗲 asked. "I'm sure he won't be there at the start of the fight, but if he does show up, then I'll take him on myself," Izuku stated, which shocked everyone, including his friends. "Are you sure you can take him? I don't mean to offend or question your power. I admire your determination, but we have to be sure we can fight those 𝗵𝗃s head-on without being afraid to get a sudden attack from Shigaraki. If he disrupts a team for even a moment, that could cost someone's life in such a battle," 𝗬𝗏 explained, placing a lot of pressure on Izuku. "If 𝗵𝗃 Shigaraki shows up, I'll take him on myself. I'll use my full power on him and I won't give him any time to attack anyone else. As for if I can beat him, I will no matter what," Izuku stated, determined. "I'll fight. For my friends, for everyone here, for your families and for all the innocent lives," Izuku shouted, holding his fist up with flames as everyone cheered. "Good work, Izuku," Hawk stated as he looked towards Izuku proudly. "I'm sure some strategists here know other heroes their quirks and are already formulating strategies and teams," Izuku stated. "I'll leave that part to you guys, but we will win this battle," Izuku stated proudly. 𝗍𝗬, Night Eye and a few others then walked to the stage telling them they will be making teams and plans to fight the 𝗵𝗃s as everyone else should focus on the normal villains. Izuku then got off the stage. "Momo, can I leave the strategizing for Class 1A to you?" Izuku asked. Me? You sure? What if I mess up? She stated in panic, don't worry, I know you can do it. At the license exam you managed to help Azui, Jairu and Shoji. You created a plan on the spot which made you win against the other school. If someone can lead this class to victory, it's you. Izuku stated. Momo then nodded determined. 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗃 said as she walked forward. Are you really gonna fight Shigaraki if he shows up? She asked. I will take his attention away from all the others, and this time I'll beat and capture him, Izuku stated. After that the chief told everyone they would attack tomorrow. He had someone stay behind in hiding and learn they haven't noticed any changes in the base or actions to move Tomura away or anything. Everyone then went home to prepare. Izuku sat on the roof of the dorm as he looked towards the dark sky in the evening. Azui, Uraraka, Ida and Todoroki then joined him. Are you worried? Todoroki asked. How can I not be? I'm dragging everyone into a battle. It's a battle that has to be fought, I know that, but still, Izuku stated. Don't worry, we'll win this. And we'll all make it back alive, Uraraka stated as everyone then smiled and nodded confidently. Afterwards they decided to stay together as they all felt a bit uneasy. The other classmates had the same as they all made groups and stayed together. The next morning, everyone got ready as all the students walked behind their teachers out of UA. All of the teachers walked in front of a class as the remaining teachers and Nizu walked up front. Izuku also walked up front as it was his idea in the first place. After a few hours, all of the pros and students reached the point where they would get together. Alright Izuku, we've got good and bad news, the chief stated. What is it? Izuku asked. Everyone made it here alright, but they know we're coming. We've seen the Nomus standing up front and a large number of villains in front of their base, the chief explained. Alright everyone, is everyone ready? Izuku asked as everyone shouted. They know we're coming, but that doesn't change the fact that we have to win this battle today. Now let's go capture those villains. Izuku stated as they then all ran towards the base in their groups. Once the enemy hideout came in sight, they noticed that the Nomus were already closing in Asuel as they all ran towards the hero groups. So far so good, the villains stay behind and hope that the Nomus will take care of it. They'll soon realize however that we can counter those and act, Izuku thought as he shot flames at two of them. After a few moments Izuku noticed that multiple groups were facing a Nomu each, while the people that had to concentrate on the normal villains backed them up for now. Suddenly all the other villains started moving as then the other heroes apart from the groups strike back. Izuku noticed that the groups were holding their own, and 𝗫𝗏 was actually fighting together. Suddenly the two Nomus came back at him. Both were close combat types as they attacked him with tremendous speed. Izuku managed to dodge their punches, but was not able to counter so far until the Nomus bumped into each other, creating a small opening as Izuku spinned around and gave a spinning heel kick to one of the Nomu's stomachs as he then gave a barrage of punches towards the other Nomu. Suddenly both Nomus got up again as they launched at him again. Izuku jumped over the first, then pushed himself up by pushing the Nomu's head to dodge the other one. He then shot small flames to make a backflip to dodge the first one again. Izuku then began countering each blow with a blow of his own. Izuku was fighting both Nomus head-on. Nizu saw this and was amazed at how Izuku could counter each blow so accurately and with such strength. Izuku then punched one in the face, launching it away. He then deflected a punch from the other and gave a powerful punch to the 𝗧𝗍. He then blocked the first one again as he then gave it an elbow to the face. He then jumped up, avoiding a kick from the first again, and kicked its neck. Time to wrap this up, Izuku stated as he shot a dragon fire on the first Nomu's face from point-blank range. He then created 3 cuts of flames into the air towards the other Nomu as he then grabbed the first Nomu while slamming it into the ground, then jumping with both feet on its back. The other Nomu got back as Izuku pushed it on top of the other. Burn away, Izuku said as a flame surrounded the Nomus as it burned them completely away. He then looked around and noticed that the big 3 Asuel as the students had some trouble with a Nomu. You guys restrain them, Izuku shouted as Tamaki used his tentacles to grab the Nomu's arms and legs as Nejire then used her energy to bind the Nomu. Izuku then used intense flames to destroy that one Asuel. They then helped the other students as Izuku destroyed that one Asuel. 𝗫𝗏 had killed one Asuel, however the other groups were only holding them off. Alright, let's help them, Momo stated as Class 1A, and the big three ran towards the other groups to help them. However, Mirio just stared at the enemy's base. Izuku, what's wrong? Mirio asked. Suddenly Izuku created a large fireball between his hands as he quickly shot it towards the base. Both heroes and villains stopped fighting because of this sudden act as suddenly the base exploded and a giant bolt of lightning shot out of it. The fireball and lightning bolt clashed, creating a very strong shockwave as they then cancelled each other out. Everyone, concentrate on the villains and the 𝗵𝗃𝗲. Izuku shouted. All the students split up between helping against the 𝗵𝗃𝗲 and fighting the villains. Izuku stated. What about you? Nejire asked. My fight has just arrived, Izuku stated as from the rubble 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 flew up. Izuku flew up into the air as he slowly got face to face with 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. I see you're back, Izuku stated. Well, you did a number on me, even when I was unconscious. It's time to get my revenge on you, 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated. I won't let you win, and I won't let you harm anyone else. Izuku stated. Don't worry, I won't attack those other pests, at least not before I step over your cold dead body. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated. Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 then launched at each other, which then started their fight. The heroes were doing good, they were holding the villains off, and already killed 5 of the high-end 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 while holding the other 5 back. However, 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 joined in on the battle and was standing face to face with Izuku. Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 charged at each other as they fought at full power right from the start. While launching at 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, Izuku had covered himself in his flames while his eyes glowed. Their fists clashed, creating a shockwave. Everyone on the battlefield, even the 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, then looked up towards Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘's battle, but they just saw Izuku's flames flying all over the place while a shockwave was caused a few more times. Suddenly Izuku flew up as he then shouted and shot multiple fireball towards 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, who tried dodging until the fireball changed trajectory and were launching at him from all sides. He tried blocking, but this also made an opening for Izuku to get closer. However, once he did, he got a powerful punch to the stomach as he was then struck with lightning. Izuku shook away the lightning with his flames as he then used his fire zone at 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, but he then landed and covered himself in a shield of earth. Izuku created a powerful fireball as he smashed it into the ball of earth, breaking it. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 was surprised by Izuku's move to break the ball, but then suddenly the fireball exploded form up close, blowing 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 away. Izuku then noticed that the heroes were slowly being pushed back from both the 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 and the villains themselves. Everyone stand back, Izuku stated as they all opened a distance between themselves and the 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 and villains. Izuku suddenly shot a huge wall of flames between the hero side and the villain side as he then touched the wall of flames. Raging sea of flames, Izuku shouted as the flames shot from the wall all towards the villains and 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘. He then mixed it with a dragonfire barrage as flames with dragon heads moved around into the raging sea of flames. Once Izuku's move was done, they saw the villains slowly getting up but definitely weakened, and the same went for the 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘, but all 5 of the remaining 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 now target Izuku. They were the same 5 that went after him the first time. The one with the 𝗬𝗃𝗃 shot his 𝗬𝗃 as a spear trying to stab Izuku. Izuku grabbed the 𝗬𝗃 as he then spinned him around, slamming him into the ground as the heroes then restrained him, and Endeavor, with a few other powerhouses, finished it off. Suddenly 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 got back up. However, he had a strange look in his eyes until he suddenly pulled up his arm as a ball surrounded with multiple elements was created. 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 held the ball in front of him, aiming at Izuku. Are you insane? That move would kill everyone, even your own men. Izuku shouted, like I care, men are replaceable, they will sacrifice themselves to kill the so-called heroes, 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated. Suddenly the attack was fired. It didn't move at that high speed, Izuku was still able to react. While getting ready, Izuku noticed the powers of darkness, flames, ice, water, air, earth, light and a laser, but strangely he also saw iron in it, even lightning. If this hits the others, they'll be dead for sure, Izuku thought. He landed on the ground as he then charged full power in his flames. Nova Ray! He shouted as intense flames shot out of his hands, but they were at least 4 times as big as Izuku was, but then again, so was 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗟𝗘's attack. The attacks clashed as an enormous shockwave and air pressure appeared, pushing everyone except Izuku back. Even from a distance, they could feel the power from the clash, as well as from both moves. and even the pressure Izuku must feel at the moment. Suddenly a few villains ran towards Izuku trying to attack him. Nejire, Bakugo, Mirio and Kirishima then jumped behind Izuku as they sended the villains flying. "We've got your back," Mirio shouted. Izuku nodded and placed even more power in his move as they could feel the burning heat from his power. 𝗬𝗲𝗏 was having trouble as well as 𝗬𝗏𝗏 then suddenly easily created another such attack. "You're kidding, right?" Izuku stated terrified. "Izuku!" 𝗧𝗲𝗏𝗧𝗔𝗍 shouted. "Weren't you going to deal with him? I thought you could take him. So don't make it sound like you're afraid of all that and show everyone here that you are a true hero who can protect us all." 𝗧𝗏𝗏 shouted. Izuku nodded. 𝗬𝗏𝗏 suddenly used the move. 5 burning pillars. Izuku stated as 5 pillars of flames appeared under 𝗬𝗏𝗏's second attack which made it launch into the air. Izuku then used even more power in his flames as the pressure of his power even pushed him a bit back. As suddenly the ground began to crack. Suddenly 𝗬𝗏𝗏 smiled as he made his move explode. Izuku looked shocked with wide eyes as he suddenly stopped his flames and jumped towards 𝗬𝗏𝗏's attack before it actually exploded. Everyone watched gasping as they saw Izuku move. Once Izuku reached it, he jumped in front of the attack as he then spread his arms and legs while charging flames from all of his body, shielding everyone from the blow, as then an immense explosion appeared. After that, the heroes looked horrified towards the smoke screen. "Yeah, the boss did it," one of the villains shouted. "Now let's kill those other wannabe heroes and end all this," another villain shouted as someone launched a sword towards Nejire. She was too shocked to realize it, but once she did realize it, it was too late. She couldn't move in time to dodge or block. She closed her eyes fearing the worst, and fearing she would die there, however nothing happened. When she opened her eyes, she noticed the spears of flames in front of her blocking the sword. "I'm not done yet," Izuku shouted. "Fire dragon barrage scatter shot." Izuku shouted as a huge wall of flames appeared and multiple dragon fires shot out of it. But every dragon fire doubled itself again and again and again, creating hundreds of dragon fires as this defeated all of the villains. "Now you take care of those remaining 𝗵𝗏𝗏s. And help me finish off 𝗬𝗏𝗏," Izuku stated. All the heroes cheered as they then ran towards the 𝗵𝗏𝗏s. Izuku had survived the blow but wasn't in good shape. His shirt was blown away. He had cuts all over his body and BLD on his head while also having some slashes on his body from the explosion. "Do you still think you can fight like that?" 𝗬𝗏𝗏 asked. Izuku suddenly shot an enormous pillar of flames around him as they then wrapped around him. Izuku quickly shot towards 𝗬𝗏𝗏, but was faster than 𝗬𝗏𝗏 expected as he kneed 𝗬𝗏𝗏 in the gut as he then gave him an uppercut, launching him up. Izuku flew after him as he launched him all over in the air. Izuku then grabbed 𝗬𝗏𝗏's neck as he smashed an exploding fireball in his back, launching him at the ground. Izuku kicked the air a lot of times, creating slashed of flames which all damaged 𝗬𝗏𝗏 as he then shot down while throwing another move. "Sunlight drill?" Izuku shouted as flames with extreme heat formed in his leg as he drop-kicked 𝗬𝗏𝗏's back while spinning around. "That's enough," 𝗬𝗏𝗏 suddenly shouted as wind blew Izuku away. Izuku quickly jumped back to the hero's side as 𝗬𝗏𝗏 slowly got up. "You asked me if I think that I can really win. The answer is simple. I don't think I can. I know I can, because I'm not alone," Izuku stated as all the heroes and students stood behind him. "I'm not fighting for myself or world domination. I'm fighting for my friends, my family, my loved ones. I'm fighting for everyone here and their families. I'm fighting to keep everyone safe from evil like you, so there is no way I or we will lose to you," Izuku shouted. "I've had enough of your bullshit. I can't stand you heroes," 𝗬𝗏𝗏 stated as he created 2 more of those quirk ball from earlier, but this time he fused them. However, the result wasn't anything Izuku could have ever imagined. Instead of doubling power, they merged into one giant pitch black ball. "This is bad," Izuku stated. He then charged giant fireball and fused those together. "Now die," 𝗬𝗏𝗏 shouted as he shot a beam from the pitch black ball as Izuku also shot a beam of flames towards 𝗬𝗏𝗏's attack. The moves clashed as the heroes were sent flying and the mansion now completely broke down. Izuku and 𝗬𝗏𝗏's move kept clashing. However, 𝗬𝗏𝗏's beam was bigger and was also slowly pushing Izuku's attack back. "Damn it, I've sustained too much damage. At this rate he'll win," I can't let that happen. Izuku stated. Suddenly attacks passed by him as he noticed. Mina's acid. Mix scream 𝗬𝗵𝗲 belly button laster Nejire's energy beam 𝗵𝗃𝗲's explosions 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟𝗘's flames gang 𝗬𝗃𝗲's sonic waves and a lot more attacks. You guys, Izuku stated as he felt Kirishima push his back to give more stability. You said it yourself, didn't you? You're not fighting alone, Kirishima stated. Come on, kid. 𝗳𝗲𝗧𝗟𝗘 stated. Our powers are only enough to support you and hold it back. Gang 𝗬𝗃𝗲 stated. You'll have to use everything you've got, Izawa stated. And finish it? Bakugo shouted. Thanks you guys, Izuku said. Finish move, he added. Everyone looked surprised by that statement, but then everyone shouted. Do it, Izuku. Burning longing. Izuku shouted as power never seen or felt before shot through his flames as it easily blasted through Tamura's beam until it eventually reached the pitch-black ball. But eventually Izuku's attack blasted through that as well, then once it reached Tamura, it exploded. Izuku quickly used his burning fortress to protect everyone from the aftermath. Once he felt the pressure die down, he undid his flames. Once he looked around, he saw the villains still down, as well as the nomus trapped, and Tamura, laid in a crater unconscious and defeated. We won. The chief shouted as all the pros started to cheer loudly. A few pros ran towards Tamura, as well as to the villains and placing quirks sealing 𝗳𝗏𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗐𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪 Meanwhile, Izuku used his burnout to erase the nomus from life. Everything calmed down and Izuku fell on his back exhausted. Izuku, are you okay? Uraraka asked as she, Azui, Kirishima, Kaminari, Mina, Momo, Jairu, and Nejire jumped on top of him out of happiness. Suddenly Izuku felt a chill. Guys, get back. Izuku quickly said as he activated his quirk while immediately making a barrier of flames. Once he did, everyone looked surprised at him until something big fell to the ground, creating an enormous shockwave and pressure. Izuku's flames stopped most of the blow, but everyone was still pushed back. This one is yours, right? They heard a voice ask as someone was thrown out of the smoke. Wait, isn't that Izuku asked? That's the former emissary of All Might 𝗵𝗃𝗄, Nizu stated horrified. Izuku noticed 𝗵𝗃𝗄 was barely alive. Someone take him and bring him somewhere where he can have medical attention. He's still alive but gravely wounded. Izuku stated as suddenly one of the speed-type quirks appeared in front of him, softly took over 𝗵𝗃𝗄 and disappeared again. So I guess, their backup just arrived, Izuku stated. Do you think that was the guy Compress spoke of? Hawk says, yes, it's really him. I guess Tamura got out in an attempt to beat us, but mostly to buy time for him to arrive, Izuku stated as they looked at a giant which looked more like a monster or a robot than an actual person. Everyone then got ready to fight as they all threw their attacks at it. However, the giant didn't seem fazed at all. He just slapped the moves away like swatting a fly. Never thought I actually had to use it, Izuku stated. What do you mean? Bakugo asked. I've been practicing a state to gain power as a last resort, Izuku stated as everyone looked at him shocked. Why didn't you use that at Tamura? Bakugo asked. If I was pushed back too much I would have used it, just be glad I haven't yet, Izuku stated looking serious. What do you mean by that? Uraraka asked. This trump card, once I use it, I won't be able to use my quirk for a few days, and my limbs will be so numb I won't be able to move for 24 hours, Izuku explained. So it really is a trump card, Mirio stated as. Izuku nodded. How long will it last? Aizawa then asked. Not that long, I'll have to use it in an opening and attacked, Izuku stated. We can create an opening, you wait for it and attacks, Bakugo stated as he and Nejire flew up towards its head. They started attacking its face but still wasn't phased. Bakugo then gave him a cheap shot and used his AP shot autocannon on his eyes. The giant grabbed his face with both his hands. Do it? Aizawa shouted. I'm sorry but I can't hold back, and it's too big to capture, I'll have to finish it off. Izuku stated. Fire form, burning sun. Izuku stated as a bright flame surrounded him, but the heat was so intense even when Izuku was up in the air at the height of the giant's head they could still feel the tremendous heat coming from him. Izuku shot towards its stomach and gave a heavy blow as the then shot Dragonfire Barrage Scatter shot, together with 5 burning pillars, and Burning Star all at the same time from up close. Izuku followed up with Fire Zone. The giant fell to a knee from that powerful barrage as the flames were also wearing Izuku out at a very high rate. He was already heavily. Damn it, I was talking big about finishing him off. Even all those moves with this form don't do enough damage. I really have to go for the kill, Izuku thought as he knew that once his form ran out, they wouldn't have a chance to beat it anymore. Izuku flew low over the ground as he then flew up and kicked the giant's stomach as strong as he could, launching it up in the air. Izuku held his hand up towards it as spears of flames shot at it, as it created a pentagram on the giant. Death sentence, pentagram, together with burning longing. Izuku shouted as his burning sun form, mixed with his burning longing to win to power up his move even more. The flames shot through the giant as it pierced every vital organ as it then quickly burned away. Everyone was shocked by Izuku's power, as well as his killing move and actually burning that giant away. Izuku's flames slowly disappeared as he then suddenly just fell out of the sky. Nejire flew at him as fast as she could as she then managed to catch him before he hit the ground. You're really incredible, you know that, and I can't believe that incredible person is mine, Nejire stated. Well, this incredible person can't even lift a finger at the moment. I'm really exhausted, Izuku stated. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you, she stated. With a smile. Izuku and the pros had won the fight against the villains. A lot of pros got injured as well as some students. However, apart from Gran Torino, no one got severely injured. Izuku was brought to the hospital to treat his wounds, as he then learned a new technique from one of the nurses. For once he could use his quirk again. It was called Phoenix Flame and could heal physical injuries. Izuku then had to sit through 2 long days, as he couldn't move for 24 hours and wouldn't be able to use his quirk for 2 days. However, Nejire took good care of him. Time skip. We're now 3 years further. The crime rate since that battle had decreased by 30%, and former Class 1A had all graduated and created their own hero agency. However, today wasn't about their agency or the crime rate. Today was a battle in a big arena. The battle was between Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗄. The reason for their fight, the winner would be the #1 hero. Izuku was at the moment the #1 hero, but 𝗵𝗃𝗄 challenged him to a battle. If he won, then he would be named the #1 hero. Izuku gladly accepted. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, is everyone ready for this amazing battle between the #1 and #2 hero? Midnight shouted as everyone cheered. The winner of this battle will be named the real #1 hero. Now, without further interruption, let the fight begin. She shouted as both Izuku and 𝗵𝗃𝗄 already had their fighting stance. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 started off with his howitzer. Izuku dodged it, but suddenly 𝗵𝗃𝗄 shot after Izuku with his howitzer. Not bad, you improved your move so you can actually follow opponents who are fast enough to dodge. But that's not good enough, Izuku stated as he suddenly disappeared and appeared behind 𝗵𝗃𝗄 as he shot his flames in 𝗵𝗃𝗄's back. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 landed on the floor but immediately used his explosions to shoot him back up as he then made an explosion in Izuku's stomach. Izuku fell out of the sky as 𝗵𝗃𝗄 shot after him. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 then punched Izuku in the stomach again as Izuku kicked 𝗵𝗃𝗄's head, pushing both of them away from each other. You've gotten a lot stronger, 𝗵𝗃𝗄, Izuku stated. So have you, but I'll be the one to win, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 stated as he then used his AP shot autocannon. Multiple explosion shots were fired at Izuku, but he managed to dodge all of the shots as he then quickly closed the distance in the blink of an eye. However, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 expected this and had already pulled a pin from his gauntlet. Once Izuku got close, the gauntlet shot an enormous explosion right in Izuku's face. The crowd cheered loudly by their fight. Not bad, you almost had me with that move. However, I've gotten sneaky as well, Izuku stated as suddenly chains of flames grabbed 𝗵𝗃𝗄's arms and legs. What the hell did you do? 𝗵𝗃𝗄 asked. Don't worry, it's over, Izuku stated. He then started making burning slashes towards 𝗵𝗃𝗄 as every hit was a direct hit as 𝗵𝗃𝗄 couldn't dodge or hit because of the chains. Once the smoke cleared, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 laid on the ground. The winner is Izuku. Midnight shouted as everyone cheered wildly. Nejire then flew down and flew right in Izuku's arms as he caught her and swinged her around as they happily then. Can you keep the with your girlfriend for when you're back home? You just beat me. It feels like you toyed with me if you're this calm afterwards, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 stated. Sorry, 𝗵𝗃𝗄, we're just happy I became the official #1. As for Nejire being my girlfriend, you're right and wrong at the same time, Izuku stated. Wait, Bakugo stated surprised. Yep, we're engaged, Izuku stated. What, for real? Kirishima shouted as all the others from their former class showed up. Izuku proposed to me a while back, and he promised once he'd become the official #1 that we would marry, Nejire stated with a bright smile. Wow, congrats you too. Everyone said. Bakugo was also proud of Izuku. His first girlfriend will also become his wife. He never thought Izuku had it in him. A few weeks later, Izuku and Nejire officially married, and so did Todoroki and Momo. Izuku and Nejire knew but didn't tell anyone, as they married on the same day at the same place, and were even each other's partners in their wedding. Todoroki gave Izuku the ring he should give Nejire, and Izuku gave the ring Todoroki was supposed to give Momo. There were two happy couples that became officially husband and wife. No one else expected it, so afterwards they partied strong. You know, I loved everyone's reaction after our wedding was done, how Todoroki and Momo then started their wedding, Nejire stated. Yes, so did I, Izuku answered as he got into bed. You know, from today on, I'm finally your wife, Nejire stated happily. Yeah, and I'm your husband, and honestly I wouldn't want to have it any other way. You are the only one I will ever see as my wife, and I wouldn't trade you for the world, Izuku stated. You're so sweet, Izuku. I really love you so much, she stated as Izuku laid down on his back with his hands behind his head as Nejire had placed her head on his 𝗍𝗲𝗏. Are you watching, Mom? My dream finally came true. We managed to save everyone from Tomura Shigaraki and the villains, and I finally became the greatest hero and the #1. And to top it all off, Izuku thought as he looked at Nejire. I've got an amazing wife who takes great care of me. You won't have to worry, Mom. I'm happy, and I'll keep working strong to keep everyone safe and Nejire happy. Well guys. Chapter 17, and also the last one for this fanfic. Hope you all liked it. And I hope you all enjoyed this fanfic too. I really enjoy making fanfics and it makes me happy people enjoy them. I hope you'll all enjoy my future fanfics just as much.